A woman accused of raising money for a cancer diagnosis that she didn't have will have another day in court. Chester County prosecutors say that Jessica Smith raised more than $10,000 through GoFundMe and Facebook after claiming that she had colon cancer. Investigators say that she faked having the disease. Today, a judge scheduled her formal arraignment for January 30th.
According to police, Jessica's story began to unravel. They say her doctor told them those photos, which she claimed showed her receiving chemotherapy, was not chemotherapy at all, but an iron infusion for anemia.
But the big story on Action News tonight is a scandalous scheme. She said she had cancer and people opened their wallets. Now she's facing jail time.
A very disturbing and shocking story now out of Chester County. A woman is accused of faking cancer and using the phony diagnosis to scam people out of thousands of dollars.
Even worse, when they tried to verify her claims of having surgery, investigators say they were told the doctor Smith claimed operated on her wasn't even in the hospital at the time, and that Smith was never a patient.
Authorities say a Chester County woman not only pretended to have cancer, but they say she also impersonated medical officials to scheme people out of thousands of dollars.
Yuki, the investigation into Jessica Smith started back in June after an acquaintance of Smith, as well as Smith's husband, filed a police complaint claiming that Smith was lying about having cancer.
Jessica's worst enemy is herself. On another occasion, she went out to the media claiming the sickness of this very rare hereditary colon cancer. Her statements are going to be the most damning things against her in this trial.
This is 31-year-old Jessica Ann Smith of Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. Authorities say, using her maiden name of Cornell, she created a GoFundMe and Facebook page for herself, claiming she had a severe case of colon cancer.
This is a disturbing situation where she preyed upon the good nature of other people.
What's up, TEET Army?
Welcome, everybody, to the Ever-Evolving Truth, the JVC special that I have titled Since the Finale. Amounts, you'll probably get that reference. Local band that we used to hang out with and listen to back in the day, back in high school.
Yep.
And what's interesting here is that you and I are pretty much the only ones left from the original team.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are, in fact, the only ones left from the original team. So that's pretty interesting. But what I want to do first before we get into really anything else, we never really got into an in-depth conversation about the night of the finale. There were some things that were going on there that, you know, unless you were standing right next to us or talked to us specifically before we went on to do the show, you would have no idea that anything was actually happening. But the truth of the matter is, it almost didn't happen.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable that up to the very end, she was defiant.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy because I had a couple meetings with the guys from the venue. And we talked about all of this beforehand. We talked about how she's going to reach out to them, going to threaten them, because she's done it to every person that's involved with the show in any way, shape, or form. I warned them of this.
Right. You had made it clear that this place was different and that they seemed to be open to everything, including that sort of incident if it happened. It was a weird 180 with them. It felt like a 180. Like all of a sudden, when they got the information that they were, we can't do it.
Yeah, it was really frustrating because we had a lot of technical difficulties in the beginning. One of them being the video. There was some sort of software that we needed in order to make the video fit on their projection screen. Right. And when I went there originally, I wanted to test it out, and this is what I was told. So we made this plan. I said, okay, so if I bring a copy of this, if I bring the file, you can run it through your computer, and everything will work fine because the sound guy had this program on his computer. That seemed like the easiest way.
Right.
So I made sure to get there, a couple hours early. We were there 2 hours early.
At least 2 or 3 hours early.
Make sure we were, set up. Everything worked. I wanted to give it a good test run. And when it comes down to it, for some reason, the file will not play through his computer. It's just a regular MP4 file. There's nothing special about this file. Like any computer should be able to play it. Or the software wasn't working for some reason or another. And so we're trying. And I don't want to blame the guy, but this is why we were there 2 hours early. He got there 45 minutes early.
Right.
There wasn't enough time to figure out if something went wrong.
Yeah, and he didn't seem to be very accommodating to us about I don't know. There was a vibe he was putting off, this is my shit, don't touch it.
Yeah. And he still had to set up the stage and the sound and everything.
Right.
So that was really frustrating because right as that was happening, as we were trying to get that to work, the owner of the place comes barging in turn it off, shut it down. And I'm like, wait, what the fuck's happening? I thought he was joking at first.
Well, it was funny because I was organizing the T-shirts of the people that had pre-ordered, and Rick was like, you might want to go outside. I was like, why? What happened? He's like, I don't know. The owner took Jeff and outside, and I walked outside, and you guys were like, we have an issue.
Yeah, and Rick tried to get it on camera, and the guy was like, I don't want to be recorded.
Obviously, I have a business.
It's definitely Jess.
So,
This is what she does to everybody.
Yeah.
This is what she sent. This is essentially the same email that she sent to my broker trying to get me fired.
I could show you the same email she sent to the Inn at Reading.
This is the same
yeah,
email.
I don't want to be recorded. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, just give us a second.
So,
Hi.
yeah, please don't use.
Look, there's a very real possibility that 250 people just showed up, and they're gonna be asked to go home.
Right. Yeah. And we're like, we have cops coming for to be in the crowd. Nobody's coming. She told them that we were going to all be arrested that night, right?
Yeah. So it basically was verbatim, just with a few changes. The emails and letters she was sending to people's employers.
Right.
So she threatened to commit suicide. She, I forget what the name was underneath the whole thing, but it was some ridiculous, one of her ridiculous names.
But it was also the name that she emailed you looking for last minute tickets.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
It was.
You're right. Yeah.
She was like, "Hey, I just found out about this story. I can't believe this woman. Can I please? Are there any available tickets? I know it's last minute." And then it was the same email address that she used to reach out to the owners, which
you think would have been enough,
right,
to convince him. Look, this is bullshit.
Yeah, because you showed him that email looking for, but
he just wasn't. He was so worried about his salary. She was claiming that the news was going to show up.
Right,
like the news would care.
Right.
About
We reached out to the news. None of them cared.
Right. Exactly. We told them we were having the finale if they wanted to show up. They didn't give a shit.
Right, because you guys had pretty good repertoire with NBC, the lady from NBC, and she didn't fucking care.
She didn't even respond to us.
Yeah. So
so we finally managed to calm them down. Now again, we're getting pulled in 100 different directions. People want to talk to us. People want to shoot the shit with us, and I felt bad because we just had to blow them off.
Right.
Look, I can't deal with you right now.
Yeah, head inside. We'll talk to you later.
I'm sure we came off as pretentious assholes.
Well, I mean, we are famous YouTubers or famous podcasters, so
right?
We don't have time for
not so famous YouTubers.
Fans, yeah. Yeah. The YouTube, on the other hand, not the
failure. Yeah, complete failure.
So,
but I mean, look, there was a fucking pit in my stomach. I literally. I thought showing him that email was going to be enough, and he was like, "No, I can't do it." I can't do it. And finally, Terry and I were able to get through to him.
Right, and he spoke to his lawyer.
And he's like, "All right." He calmed down. He's like, "I'm like, at least call your lawyer and see if any of this is even possible."
Right.
And his lawyer calmed him down and said, "Look, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
But if it makes you feel better, have them sign this, this letter. So it was like some back alley signing, this handwritten statement that we wouldn't release the name of the place until we all agreed that it was in the past, and the opinion was not of the venue. It was just our opinion, and everything was alleged.
He reiterated that multiple times.
Right.
It's not their opinion, and everything's alleged.
Right. Which is why on the finale you hear us say allegedly so many times. We kind of made it a joke. Yeah. Because I mean, at that point, it's not alleged anymore. It's in the arrest report.
Yeah.
Like everything, nothing we said was untrue.
Right.
But scary moment, man.
Yeah, it was everything, up to that moment, and then for it to be, and honestly, she probably emailed every venue in the area, right? Unless she had someone on, because we didn't tell anyone where the venue was until.
We
I guess people had known then.
Yeah, we got loose with it towards the end, in the final countdown. So I'm sure it was a leak on our part. But I mean, how are we going to get the people there if we didn't tell them where it was? At some point, And if anything, her plan didn't work. I mean, obviously, the history has proven that we did the finale,
right?
And it was a huge success. But if it did anything, if she did win in any sort of way, it ruined the first part of the night for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It ruined that. Yeah, the beginning until the shots started showing up.
Right. Then I was fine. That's my medicine. But let me ask you this: like, how did you feel when you started seeing people show up?
It was surreal for me. I mean, I'd done, high school shit where I was on stage, and I don't get really stage fright, but to see that many people that cared about us enough to come out, and it was a big venue, and then all of a sudden it's completely full and packed, and like it was surreal. It was it was awesome and scary at the same time.
Yeah, we've always performed in high school, band, concert band. You were in chorus and band, and it's expected that everybody in the band's parents are going to come out,
Right.
But this, I don't know, like I was having not anxiety attacks. I don't have attacks, but I do have anxiety. It's something like constantly the worst creeps into my mind. I was fearing that after all this planning, all this work, that no one was going to show up.
Well, I was going to say that because we had recently done the Pookie in Paradise football draft, and we told people to show up, right, to hang out with us, and even all the teams didn't show up to draft. So I was like, I had high hopes for that. I thought that was going to be, whatever. But so then a part of me was like, well, I mean, we had to turn people away for tickets, but they were free, nobody had to pay. So you're like, are they really going to show up?
Right. Yeah. There's no, in the sales world, we always say when the more money you put down, the more committed you feel, the more obligated you feel to pay the monthly payment. So, that's why most things you can't put no money down, because it doesn't feel real. It feels like, okay, I'll do this, but if in a month from now when the first payment's due, I'll just cancel the card it's on, and I didn't lose any money.
Right.
So that was my big fear, is that the tickets were free, so people were like, yeah, absolutely, I'll go. And right up to the last minute, they're going to keep that, but then they're like, I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
They're just going to reserve their ticket just in case they feel like going. And there was some of that. There was 10 or 15 people that emailed us in the final hour, hey, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Which it would have been nice to have them maybe reach out a little bit earlier so we could have gotten the tickets to somebody else. But for the most part, everybody showed up.
Yeah, it was packed. It was wild.
Couldn't even really move when it was completely full.
No, yeah. And yeah, it made you feel good though, all the work that we did, and then there were people there that were excited to hear us do our thing. So it was amazing. And it made me want to it's like, oh, well, we're obviously pretty decent at this, you know what I mean? Like, which,
yeah, we've created something that people are so invested in,
right?
That they're willing to spend a night,
right,
with us, a Saturday night,
and even followed through to the next season for the most part. I mean, that had its own rough waters, but there were people that were excited about the next season and asking, like, so you made us a fan, like they liked our style, they liked the way we did things, which was in the world of podcasts, like there's a million of them, that these people took the time out of the day to listen to ours and then ask when the next episode's coming out, what's the next season, what are you guys doing? It was, it's awesome, especially for us being it not our full-time job. We're spending time 10 o'clock at night for 2 hours trying to get something out. So it made it worthwhile to see where it would go.
Yeah. And, and learning on the fly, in a sense,
Yeah.
When I was at the Art Institute, we did, I worked on a couple major projects, but there was really no way to gauge the audience for it back then. Like we did this thing because it was right after 9/11 where at the time there was a company called VIP Wireless. I forget who bought them, but they were a cell phone company, and they were offering free cell phone service to the first responders that were cleaning up the wreckage down there. And we wanted to make the VIP Wireless. I forget if it was a vice president or what he was. He was pretty high up, but he wanted to make a tribute video to them.
Yeah.
Which of course, we were eager to jump on, and the head of the video and film department asked me and another guy to do it, which I was honored to do.
Yeah.
And it came out really well. But again, there was no way to gauge the audience. I have no idea who saw it, who liked it, who didn't like it. So it's just a different world.
Right.
So it's important that we get feedback on stuff like this because it helps us grow.
Yeah. I mean, every part of us is like, oh God, you don't want to hear that negative feedback. But
I know.
I mean, but if there's one thing you've learned, it's no matter how good of a job you do, there's going to be that person that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
what was the most disappointing part of the night for you? Besides having to drag my drunk ass around at the end, besides me stealing your shots.
there wasn't a disappointing part of the night. Besides, well, when we left, Leah was like, "Yeah, we're drinking," and then we got back to the bar, and she's like, "I'm gonna go. I'm sober now." I'm like, "We could have told me that at the hotel. Like, I would have stayed." But no, everything. It was all surreal. Like, I don't think there was a bad part of the night for me, a disappointment.
I was disappointed in the audio. I was expecting the audio quality to be much better, considering we were going into a mixer out to our laptop. There shouldn't have been any real barrier to recording good audio in that scenario. But bands do it all the time with the crowds cheering and everything like that.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I guess I just don't understand enough about sound to understand why it was such a terrible recording. And the other disappointment was that, of course, the video did not work through the software, so we had to project it onto the wall in the background, and it just looked. You didn't get the whole effect.
Right. Yeah.
There was hours and hours and hours of time put into the creating the whole experience, and there was definitely some hiccups along the way.
Right. I didn't. But as far as first time doing something like that scale of event,
and on short notice, like we talked about, I forget when we even floated the idea of doing a live finale, but it wasn't in the very big. It wasn't part of the plan from the beginning.
No,
it was like halfway through the season we were like, would it be cool if we did a live finale?
Right, and we also had no idea really for the first half how we were going to end it either. It was like,
true.
Well, what are we going to do? But then she kept giving us content, and we knew we almost without a doubt that an arrest was happening, but they didn't know when, we didn't know how long. But so we're like, well, shit, what are we going to do? And then every week it was something else. It was like divine intervention or something. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah, the arrest came at the perfect time.
Right. Yeah,
it really did. If the arrest didn't come until after the finale, we had plans to do, a follow-up show, whether that was 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 8 months, whatever. We were prepared to do another show on just the arrest, but
Right.
it came literally like a week before.
Yeah, it was perfect.
Perfect timing, which made what we were talking about. And then there was a couple other things like in between, so that we held on to the end, but
yeah,
there was plenty to talk about. We were not at a loss for words. Amazing. It really was an amazing experience. And I hope we're able to do it again. I don't know. I just don't know. Like, it worked out so well because it was happening in real time.
Right.
Like the Anna case, it wouldn't make sense to do a live finale.
No.
These seasons coming up, I don't know if it makes sense. So maybe maybe like once a year we can do like a White Horse event and
Right.
do live episodes from all the podcasts. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing that we can do. But I really enjoyed the live experience for sure.
Yeah. It's nice getting out and meeting, and then especially like it was nice afterwards. There were a few people that were like, "Oh, this is who I am. I commented here. Love the show. Love you." I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." But no, it was like, and they would tell me their story about how Jess fucked them over or stole something from them or their daughter, and I was like, it was nice to actually, because there were so many comments, so many Facebook messages, and to put a real person to that face or that message is like, it really meant a lot. But also, while I was talking to them, you stole multiple shots.
It's because you were taking too long.
I know, and I was like,
shots have a shelf life.
I was like, listen, I appreciate it, but I gotta
listen. I can't talk to you anymore. I have to do these shots, otherwise, this guy over here will do them for me.
Yeah.
If you follow Moms in Mayhem, Leah, Wags, and Robin did a reply video to launch their YouTube channel. It has almost 800 views. But they essentially responded to the first wave of JVC Instagram rants, and including her quote unquote apology video. So after that, we felt that was pretty well covered our response to it. I didn't feel like TEET needed to respond to that. They essentially said the same things that we would have said, and we also weren't allowed at the time. But instead of going through all that again, there was a series of Instagram rants after that. We never posted them. They were flying around, people shared them, people saw them. But for those of you that were blocked or don't follow her on her Instagram, we have those Instagram rants, and there's like 7 or 8 of them, and they're about 2 minutes long. So what we'll do is we'll play the clip, each 2.5 minute clip, and then we'll comment on it, we'll respond to it, and then we'll go to the next clip. Does that sound like a good time to you?
Well, yeah.
Sounds like something that you would prefer to be doing on your Saturday night?
Yeah, for sure.
Now, also, I want to point out that these might be out of order. I didn't feel like figuring out exactly how they were recorded. So let's take that into consideration while you're listening. But here is first one.
What they do and say about me anymore, I genuinely can tell you it used to get me super upset, and now it gets sent to me and I just laugh. Seriously, you all are pissed if I don't apologize, then you get pissed when I apologize, then you got pissed because I couldn't go into specifics into my apology because I have criminal charges. In what universe did you think that I would ever address anything specifically? If you had a good lawyer that was telling you not to address anything specifically, you wouldn't, right? Get over it. I can't. It's exhausting. Y'all are seriously exhausting, pitiful. I'm done after today. I'm done addressing it. I'm done giving any kind of care in the world to it. I have better things to do, more productive things to do than others. Yeah, y'all are just pitiful. I do, however, think it's funny that I've received a lot of messages about people who did interviews that said that their interview, when they were initially asked, said it was going to be about something else, and then it was turned around behind their backs. And I have all those messages, and when the time comes, I will be posting them. So keep that in the back of your mind, everyone. The fact that people said certain things, like that I commented on my weight, or the fact that I had makeup on, makes it all about me. Yeah, you dumbasses, because I was talking about me, and the weight loss was part of it, and me having and using makeup as a hobby is now part of it. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. You're like pulling and really reaching for stuff, and it just looks sadder and sadder and sadder. So, I wish you all the best of love and luck in life, and yeah, I think some of you all need to see my doctor because you're just... Also, my attention was brought to like some sick YouTube video of like my thing all put together. If that's not stalkerish, who has the time for that? I need people to... I really need people to be productive with themselves. This is crazy. Like, ooh, y'all look worse than me, okay, in your head.
I love it because, especially at the end, she's telling us all to be productive while she goes on like a 45-minute Instagram rant telling everybody that she's done. But then it keeps coming back to say one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing, one more thing.
Right.
Oh, my God. It's just...
I would love to see the messages about the people that said I can't think of one person that...
Isn't it funny that most of them work with us now at Whitehorse?
Right. All the interviews, there's not one person that because nobody would come forward for her. So what?
Right.
I just don't know. Everyone that we talked to came to us and were, for the most part, and was like, I got something to say. And we didn't. Wow. So
I know I would love to see those messages too, but as we know, there are no messages. It's full of shit and just pandering to. I mentioned this before, like pandering to her. Like it's not her audience; it's our audience that follows her because she's batshit crazy, and they want to see what she's going to do next. None of them are fans of her. They are our listeners who are not blocked, and they just kind of wait in the wings,
right?
Just to see what she posts and does so that they can laugh at her. That's your audience, Jess. So I don't know who you're pandering to.
Oh, that's where we're at with that. My lawyer is incredible. He used to be the Chester County DA. So he's very used to, obviously, what the prosecution does, what they're thinking. So he's able to better assist me being a defense attorney, which is great. Things for the public to think about in terms of other things that have happened. No, my children have not been taken away from me. A judge, I believe actually even host of the podcast agreed that my charges are nonviolent. They have nothing to do with my children. So the judge said that at no point in time would my children be taken out of my custody. It's just not appropriate. It's not healthy for me, for them. It is what it is. People want to know why I'm not just sitting in a jail cell rotting. Again, I can't really speak to it, but this entire thing, there are missing pieces. And people that reported it initially did not give full or truthful details, which have come to light in like the past 2 weeks. So that's again interesting. I think that I know that so many people are like, you're going to go to jail, have fun in jail, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to say anything about that because in the end, obviously, of course, it's a possibility, but I'm being charged with 2 criminal offenses with no prior history that are the lowest grade of felony, and my restitution has already been paid back to the 2 fundraising parties or companies that control them. So just let that sink in. I think a lot of you think I'm gonna like go to jail for years and years. That's not really the angle here. So I think a lot of people kind of need to get that out of their head. In terms of, like I said, with people reaching out to me, I have a big problem right now with thinking that just everybody is disingenuous. And I think I have the right to think that only because I was played a lot in the beginning of this whole thing. I mean, I was played towards the end by someone who was my best friend for years named Amanda. You know, she tried to befriend me and say that she cared, and then it came to light that was all bullshit. So I hope everyone understands that if you do reach out to me and you want to hear something or whatever, I just have to really be cautious in what I say, who I talk to, who I trust, which is really not many right now, unfortunately. I would just say, like, kind of respect my privacy in that.
All right. So, what do you think she's trying to do here? Do you think she's doing this videos to try and make herself feel better about what could potentially be coming down the road, whether it's probation or jail time?
Yeah, I don't know who she's talking to, but yeah, I don't understand as far as like. Nobody's saying she's going to jail for a long time. She's done a lot of terrible things and hurt a lot of people, so a lot of people want her to go to jail. But I mean, I don't see many comments about people. I mean, maybe I don't see them. It's nice that she's not a part of my life every day anymore. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's nice not having to deal with her. But yeah, it's just strange that she says she's done. Even if these are out of order, she said she's done for a long time, but it just never ends. It's just never.
It never ends. It really doesn't. It's so absurd that she thinks we care about whatever she thinks the details are. I'll give you an example. The fact that her lawyer is a former DA. A lot of defense attorneys are former DAs.
Right.
And if they're not, they still have a complete understanding of how the law works. That's why they're defense trial attorneys.
Right. And
they're really good at what they do, even the worst one.
And not being able to trust people. I mean.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Right. I mean, Wags.
That's who she's referring to there as well.
Yeah. She's one of the most genuine people I've met. And
right.
Like, I feel like when she reached out later, it was to try to, you know, she obviously needed help, and hopefully she has the help that she needs to get to the right places. But at the time, I feel like that's all that Amanda wanted, was to try to get her the help, because they were so close.
Well, also, if you're facing 2 felony charges with a prior record or not, are you personally going to go on Instagram and taunt the people that brought you down?
No.
I mean, and I'm not just talking about us. I'm talking about later on. You'll hear her quote the investigating officer, the DA. I don't think those people really want to be quoted by a potential felon.
Right.
Right. They don't necessarily have a whole lot of contact with her. Like, why would her lawyer allow them to have a conversation? And you'll see what I'm talking about in one of these videos. But the absurdity of how her mind works is
right, and then
infuriating and fascinating.
Right, to the fact that she followed all of us last week,
right,
on Instagram, like recently, like not like all the people that she despises.
Yeah, so recently, I mean, after the first the fake apology video and the first round of rants on Instagram, she disappears from Instagram for a while. Okay. Right. But then she always comes back. And this time, after these particular rants, and it's been quiet for weeks now, for sure. But after this particular round of Instagram rants that we're playing right now, she went dark again. And then a couple weeks ago, she popped back up and she requested to follow like everybody that she had blocked or everything all over again. So I don't know what that's all about.
Right. I mean, I don't put anything on Instagram. I have like 12 pictures of my kids, and that's it.
Yeah. All right. So let's watch video number 3 here.
Okay.
First and foremost, please excuse my eyebrows. They got tinted this morning, and this is always what it is for like 24 hours, and they're like extra thick and extra gradey. Several questions from that video I did on Christmas, and there are some things that I can address that I would like to, just to kind of clear the air right now. First things first, yes, it's me. I was arrested. It was all over the local news, all over the national news. My lawyer and I got asked to be on CNN, Good Morning America. It was crazy. Yes, that's in PA. In Delaware, magically the next day, two charges showed up. 2 charges that I can tell you with 100% certainty are false and are being dropped. The person in relation to this, we ask that an internal affairs investigation begin on that person, and we have received notice that that has started now. Takes a while, and I just know that from knowing this person, actually. My lawyer in Delaware, as well as myself and the DA, are meeting next week to talk out a few things. However, the DA on the morning of my prelim was not happy. He felt as though it's a waste of everyone's time. He said, if anything, this should be a ticket offense. He feels as though it's due to get back at me, and there's nothing further I'm going to say about that. I also was significantly mistreated when I willfully turned myself down down there. Comments were made in front of me as I was being released, and the other officers in the holding area didn't realize I was who I was. So obviously I told my lawyer, who then filed the complaint. They pulled video footage, and sure enough, there it was. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Some important things for people to remember. I think we all forget that people are innocent until proven guilty. I know that's hard for a lot of people. It's even hard for myself sometimes to think that. That's all I'm going to say. I was able to read the complete.
So here we are again with the victim bullshit, right? I was mistreated. The DA,
Right.
the DA thinks is a waste of time. Then why did the DA file the charges?
Right.
Right?
So she's saying that the police in Delaware set her up.
Well, just significantly mistreated her. Yeah, the
the internal affairs.
The person that this is in relation to, because remember, one of the charges in Delaware was impersonating a police officer,
Right.
which was her landlord.
Okay.
She's saying that she brought those charges, because she was trying to get back at Jess.
Okay.
Of course, it's a worldwide conspiracy against JVC. Starting from the day she was born, we're all out to get her.
Mm-hmm.
It's so absurd to me. So the DA thinks it's a waste of. The DA works with the cops. The DA is not going to agree to bring charges if he or she doesn't think that they can win.
Right.
Their whole reputation is based on win-loss. That's why the plea bargain is such a bullshit thing, because it counts as a win for the DA.
Right.
And why would a DA tell a potential felon, a defendant,
right,
I think this is a waste of time?
Right.
There's not a single DA in the country, in the world, that would do something like that.
Right.
It's absurd.
It's par for the course.
It is. And apparently, this is the thing now where you can just tell your lawyer that they would like an internal affairs investigation to be started, and they'll just do it.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
That guy over there, I want investigated. That guy over there, I want investigated. That guy over there, I want investigated.
I needed to stop. My mental head, so I hate to break it to them and all others. I do not listen. I did not listen. I don't want to. I don't want to hear the details. I'm sure a lot of it's pretty nasty. So why would I want to put myself through that? So that, if you're ever going to believe one-sided truth with me, I hate to tell you that that's the truth. The only thing was during my finale episode, people were texting me pictures from like an automated number of like the cake that was there, certain people sitting on stage, but like that's as far as it went. I didn't respond, obviously. That's why I had to change my number recently. I think that it's super childish and super gross for people, again, at this finale episode that just so happened to fall on my birthday to send me those things, especially on someone's birthday, whether you think I'm right or wrong or whatever. It's shitty and makes you a shitty person. I'm not saying I'm not a shitty person, but I think people just need to take a step back and be like, holy shit, whoa. You know, on the other side, plenty of people have reached out to me with very interesting things, saying that, you know, they didn't believe these people the whole time. They believe things are being exacerbated for dramatics and entertainment. I can tell you that recently in something involving custody, the fact that this podcast happened actually helped me in a massive way. Both of my kiddos are here with me now, full time per the usual. And so I think everybody thought that this was going to like expose me, blah, 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 where really it exposed other people. So it helped me in the long run. And that is the truth. So my next court date is my preliminary hearing in PA. I know exactly what's going to happen at that hearing. Please feel free to come. It's open court. If you really feel like you need to be there, I can tell you're going to be really disappointed. That's all I'm saying. You're going to be super disappointed. So, that's really it, guys. I'm just trying to get better. I'm not gonna answer or even divulge any of my energy into anything negative, except for the fact that these eyebrows are so blah right now. Like, that's negative. That's really it. All I can do is try to move forward and get better. And
so here again, she's claiming that she's not going to put any energy into this. Yet she's putting all of her energy into this.
Right.
I also want to point out, too, like what she's talking about was, as far as her court date goes, was a second court date, right?
Yeah.
And she there was more on this. Like she spent a lot of time talking about how if we show up, she's going to be everybody's going to be very disappointed. And then she would have, you notice that smirk that she had?
Yes.
Like this was her big plan to get us all to show up, only to find out that she wasn't even there. And they I guess they do it remotely. They do whatever they need to do. So her lawyer didn't even need to show up to court. So it essentially got canceled. Right. The funny part about this is like she was hoping that 100 people showed up and nothing happened and they would all be disappointed. Nobody fucking showed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like this big plan to pull one over on the whole TEET army completely failed miserably. And again, it shows you like even through all of this, like how vindictive she is. But what gets me is that she doesn't seem to get that. And maybe the most truthful thing that she ever said when she said, I'm not saying I'm not a shitty person, but it's shitty to be it's shitty to be shitty to a shitty person.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. If you are a shitty human being, you deserve to have people be shitty to you. Plain and simple. You have not earned the right. You have not earned any respect. You have lost it. You have to earn it back. And you have not done that.
Someone remind me what show it is that the celebrities read mean tweets about themselves. Because my best friend, who is my actual best friend, myself and her know who she is. I hate to tell you all, I do not even get on the Facebook at all. It's completely out of my mind. Is screenshotting me comments from a thread, and I would love to read them back, like mean tweet style. I think it would be comical and like purely like hilarious. I'm criticized if I don't apologize, and I'm criticized when I start apologizing. Hello, everybody. How stupid could you be? I have charges in multiple states. Do you really think I'm going to address specifics? Get over yourselves, okay? Get over yourselves. And move on. What the hell happened to season 2? Aren't y'all busy solving a murder? Like I am living for the fact that this YouTube video is called Fake Ass Apology. I can't. Please get over yourselves. I'm busy. I got a 2-year-old to put to bed. You know, that's in my custody. Last thing I'm genuinely going to say about it is, it is time for y'all to move on. I am, like, actually fearful. The fact that you keep posting about me is very stalkerish. Please get a hobby. Those that, like, continue to insult me, I need you to seek counseling and grow up. It's, like, not a good look for you guys. You just look like you can't get over it, and you're petty, and you're childish, and stupid, and I just love how people thought my apology was disingenuous. Of course, I knew some of you all would have something negative to say, but, God, get over it already. Like, this is why I laugh now, because it is so funny that it has gotten this popular and this far. You are focusing on me, one person. This podcast, you just look as stupid as them. Sorry, hate to tell you that. What they do.
You are focusing on us, one podcast.
Yeah,
you are obsessed. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack in this. This is my favorite of all the 2.5-minute clips. There's a lot in here, right?
Right.
I want to see if you notice it all. First of all, take care of your fucking kid.
Yeah, the kid's crying.
Right?
The whole
The kid's
time.
crying the whole time. I don't know if Rob listens to this or somebody that knows Rob listens or is going to watch this, but maybe it might be worth showing this next time next custody hearing you might have. Show her, like, the most important thing to her is to respond to the podcast and quote unquote clear her name and make her case to the point where her kid's crying in the background and she's ignoring him.
Yeah. That she's not going to expel any more energy on, that she's done with. But here's 12, 13 videos.
Right. You can't stop recording for 10 minutes to put your kid to bed if it's bedtime, or attend to him, whatever was going on back there. And then also, I think what we heard were the footsteps of the infamous Mumford in the background.
It's good to know there's proof of life.
Right. Mumford's doing okay. Well, I don't know if he's doing okay. He could be a prisoner in her house. Can we also take a second to go back to so many of the ads that said pet-free, smoke-free home, and Mumford was actually in the picture with the item?
Yeah.
It's so absurd. Like, I can't believe... Like, and right in the video before too, you heard her talking about how she had full custody. That's not true. They share custody. Rob has the kids too.
Yeah,
it's a complete lie. But yeah, they're in your care. If they're in your care full time, you're doing a terrible job as they're crying in the background. Pay attention to them. Unbelievable.
Instagram will be there after.
Exactly.
Initially, but that kind of helps. Well, not kind of. It helps. It helps us a lot in terms of the case. So that's at least good to know. My preliminary is coming up for my Pennsylvania charges towards the end of January. I obviously cannot really speak to anything. So for those of you that ask for details, or, oh, it won't go anywhere, or, oh, just tell me what happened, what you're feeling, it stays between us, please take no offense to the fact that I simply cannot trust a single soul right now. And the reason for that is, when I did the interview with the podcast, especially the first one, I was reached out via Instagram and was told that it was a podcast on strong women, blah, 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 blah. And then, come to find out that it was said during the finale episode that that's not really what the case was, which I had called them out prior to the finale episode, and they denied. And of course, that's all in writing, so that's a good thing. And then the finale episode was saved by law enforcement and saved by my lawyer and the DA. So it helped me a lot, is all I have to say. The important thing to remember about the Pennsylvania charges, because those are the ones that will ultimately have to be dealt with. Delaware should be done and over like it never existed within the next month or two, so that's great. The things with Pennsylvania to know, and I think people maybe don't realize or aren't recognizing, I'm not making an excuse. I have no prior criminal record history, and the detective that investigated charged me with one count of one of the charges and one count of the other, and he charged me with the lowest grade felony on purpose because of his thoughts on the situation. I'm not going to go any further than that. So I know for a fact that so many people just want me to like sit in a jail cell and rot. To clarify, I am out on a bond signature, so literally I just had to sign a piece of paper saying that I will show up for court. Again, there's a lot of things that go into that, but the detective said that that was more than fair. My lawyer said that was more than fair, and the judge agreed. I had no prior history. Some of the details in this case are very wonky, so that's where we're at with that. My lawyer is incredible. He used to be the Chester County DA, so he's very used to obviously what the prosecution does, what they're thinking, so he's able to better assist me being a defense attorney, which is great. Things for the
More of the same.
Right.
My attorney's the best. He knows what everybody's thinking. The cop thinks this is ridiculous, so he purposely charged me with the lowest count felony. If he really thought that this case was bullshit, he wouldn't have charged you with anything.
Right.
The DA is just really not happy about it, and it's truthfully just a waste of the time. I mean, we all know people in Delaware and Wilmington are killing people left and right. Like, this goes back to an email supposedly in August, the beginning of August of 2018. It's over one single email, not even kidding, a single email where no one's credentials were even mentioned. That's all I'm going to say. And then it wasn't reported to the police until February 26th of 2019. Girl, please. In addition to the thing about Delaware, the supposed email was sent August 6th of 2018. One single short email. This person supposedly found out about the email in the beginning of November 2018. Okay. This person's a detective, a very intelligent one. Okay. If you found out about that and if you really were concerned about your identity, you'd call 911 or report it right away, right? I would. So I then move out of said person's property mid-February 2019. Magically, 15 days later, this person reports the said one single paragraph email from August of 2018. Then magically files our charges. Charges are filed, and an arrest warrant goes out the day after I was arrested in PA. Sorry, this is the one I'm going to be the most open with because it is literally complete bullshit. If you would like to go back to the said person and ask them, and or I could post a report because the Delaware system is very on lockdown, I'm more than welcome to. My Delaware mugshot, I've noticed no one has found it, but I'm literally laughing and smiling in the picture over how fucking stupid it is. So.
Delaware, we had nothing to do with Delaware. It just was a byproduct of what we did, right? And she's not denying. If she sent an email, whatever, I don't know. I honestly don't know the specifics of that.
If you broke the law, you broke the law.
Right. She's like, it was just one little email. She's not denying sending this email where I assume she claims to be the police officer. It's just like the fact that, it was just one paragraph.
Right.
It's obviously illegal enough that they filed charges. And I don't think we even looked for the mugshots that I'm aware of, did we?
I mean, maybe.
Barely.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, at that point we had the mugshot of her,
crying, fake crying.
Fake crying. Do we need a mugshot of her laughing hysterically? Like, I can't imagine that. And maybe that's part of the reason why you were quote unquote mistreated by the Delaware police, because you were laughing at them as they're taking the mugshot. Look, felony charges are serious, whether they're justified or not, and it would behoove you to take them seriously.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, as far as we know, those charges still have not been dropped.
That's really it. All I can do is try to move forward and get better. And I wish this podcast luck with the second season that they're doing. You know, if they really can help find this woman or this woman's body, that's pretty cool. I do know, like some of my friends in law enforcement, like said they're getting themselves into a little bit of trouble, but hey, that's on them, right? But good luck with that. I know they started a whole bunch of new shows, like good for everybody. I think that's really cool. I think podcasts are definitely could be an awesome outlet for some people. I don't have the balls to do it full time. I keep joking though that after everything, maybe I'll write a book. That's really all I got for now. I've kind of said and addressed everything I wanted to say and address. You know, those people that think people are innocent, people that initially reported me to police, whatever. The police are the police, right? Detectives are detectives. So they're able to track everything, trace everything, figure everything out. Like I said, my laptop was stolen during the burglary to my house on Thanksgiving night. I know who did it. It's a few people, and they're really stupid and turned my laptop on. And the one thing that saved me was I had my email automatically log in when I opened my laptop, and that's exactly what happened. So I got an alert to my phone, called the detective right away, and they were able to ping my laptop. So I'm not going to expose them. I'm going to take the higher road, and they can be exposed when the time comes. Is it related to a podcast? So, yeah, that's it for now. I hope you guys are just getting ready for 2020, and I'm going to try to fix this face right now. Again, thank you for listening. Reach out to me if you want. If it's negative, please save your breath and time. You're just wasting your time on me at that point because I'm just not even going to acknowledge it. But, you know, I'm working on myself, and that is the very, very best I can do. So everybody take care. Have a great weekend. My days are all thrown off because of the holiday, and I will talk to y'all soon. An important detail I forgot to add about Delaware. Some of you are probably like, well, if he thought it wasn't that big of a deal, why weren't they just dropped? The Delaware legal system is very different. So he had subpoenaed some things that hadn't come back yet. So,
well, I find it funny that in the same 2.5-minute clip, she both wishes us luck and blames us for her burglary.
Right. Did they ever... Did it ever come out?
No.
Like...
Nobody was arrested for it. Nobody. First of all, how do they ping your laptop because you get a notification that someone signed into your email? I get it all the time because we share the email for the Ever-Evolving Truth and Whitehorse. A bunch of people have access to it. So I get a notification every time somebody comes in, and it says what type of computers, but it doesn't give me their address.
Right. It just says area that. But not like an exact address. It'll say like why missing or
yeah. She mentioned it was a couple of people. No, it wasn't. It was you. You faked it.
Right.
I'm. Again, that I should be clear. That is speculation on my part. But without having 100% proof of anything, I've never been more sure of something in my entire life.
You want to hear something or whatever, I just have to really be cautious in what I say, who I talk to, who I trust, which is really not many right now, unfortunately. I would just say, kind of respect my privacy in that regard. I'm willing to talk to anything if it's very, vague or, whatever. But a lot of people have been messaging me very specific questions, and I simply am not at a place legally to answer them. I think that if anybody was in my place, they would feel the same exact way. So again, it's no offense. It's the thing. The other thing I would like to clear up is when I had, said that I had done a 4-week intensive treatment, people Like 75% of the people thought I meant for drugs. Excuse me again. I literally have never had a drug problem ever. The treatment I went through was for a psychiatric disorder that I've been diagnosed with for like 11 and a half years now. That kind of was exacerbated and the medication wasn't working anymore. So no, I don't have a drug problem. I know that's probably so disappointing for you all. I don't even take pain medication. I didn't take any pain medication after my hip surgery recently, which was bone reconstructed except for extra strength Tylenol and Aleve. So I think it's important for people to keep listening. I think it's important to know that no matter what side of the story you're on, that, you know, people are like, you're not being bullied, you're just being called out, blah, blah, blah. I mean, when I get like insulting comments and calls and like emails and text messages that are simply degrading, I mean, that is bullying, okay? That is simply a bullying nature. So whether you think it's right or wrong or it's deserved or not, it's wrong. Like, if you're doing it, if you participated in it, you really need to take a look at yourself in that regard. I understand so many people feel some type of way about this situation and what they know as of now and as of so far. But I don't think, in the end, so many things are going to be cleared up. And again, I would just say, buckle up and wait for that WTF moment in court. And it's something I can't avoid getting out. It's something that people will hear and have to hear, but...
Right.
The what the fuck moment that she mentions. We have sources close to the situation that have told us that she makes Rob's life a living hell every single day and is trying to drag him into this and down with her.
Right.
Will she be successful? I don't know. I mean, if she is, we really have to take a look at the justice system because it's fucked. Might be fucked anyway.
Right. That's assuming there's a what the fuck moment that makes faking cancer.
Okay.
Oh, well, yeah, well. Oh, sorry.
Right. So your ex-husband was involved in it. Yeah, that doesn't excuse you, even if that were true. It's not true, but
if there is this moment in court that we're waiting on, I will personally apologize.
I really need people to be productive with themselves. This is crazy. Like, ooh, y'all look worse than me, okay? In your heads. Your head game literally looks worse than mine. Yikes. The best part is, y'all say you do this to expose me so that people will hate me and never give me a job and never want to work for me ever again, blah, 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 blah. Fun facts, this literally has done the exact opposite. So that completely backfired in y'all's faces. So thank you. Y'all have no idea how many jobs, how many photo shoots, how many choreographer gigs, how much you did for me when I got that public notoriety. Because you know why? There's always two sides to the story. And I was able to prove my side to these people, not involving the initial allegations. So I'm just going to leave it at that. But thank you, TEET. You really helped me. Now you just look like even bigger idiots. I know that it really pains and hurts you all to see that you have not ruined me and that I am successfully living my life very happily with my children and my man. So, sorry, spoiler alert, you haven't affected me negatively. I'm dealing with my charges like a big girl. Sorry about that. If you wanted to send me into some wild depressive state, or you wanted to talk nasty about me, we're in high school, okay, but I've been extremely successful. I've been making more money doing legal bookings and legal jobs than I ever have in my entire life. And it's because of the podcast and all the national attention. So thank you. That plan completely backfired in your face as of recently. This is literally great. I posted the thing about the mean tweets and wanting to have my best friend I'm not going to dime her out, send me like the comments in the recent thread so I can like read them and then respond to it. And people are like all about it. So I'm definitely going to do it. So if you left a comment and you don't want to be called out by name, sorry about it. Too late.
First of all, she never did the mean tweet thing.
Right.
But she is right. I would have loved to see that. I would have watched it. But
I would
again,
watch it too.
It's our audience that's watching it.
Right.
Of course they were encouraging her to do that. But that's one of my favorite like rants too.
I mean, to be perfectly clear,
man.
that
poor fucking guy.
It was never our position to bully her or
prevent her from getting jobs.
Which
a byproduct of being a piece of shit.
Right. Like we didn't set out to send her into a depressive state at all. As a matter of fact, like we all hoped she would get her shit together. But the fact that you as a person have to explain that you have made more money legally
than illegally, right?
Yeah, right. Like I almost made as much money as I did scamming people with fake cancer and selling bullshit stuff that I didn't have and scamming people on Facebook Marketplace.
Right.
That's illegal. But this new stuff that you guys helped me, now you look dumb.
Right. That's the definition of insanity. So she's saying that now that you guys have exposed me, I can legally make more money than I was making illegally. I do want to point out that what you are doing here is not the high road.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things, but it's most definitely not the high road. And I also want to point out that we're still waiting on the repercussions of all this. Of course, the burglary, the defamation lawsuits. Still haven't received any letters. Still haven't received any phone calls from the police about us being in trouble. So if that is not proof enough to prove that she's lying, I don't know what else is. I don't know what she can. Well, of course, here's what she'll say. She'll say, "Oh, it's coming. Oh, it's coming."
Right.
So the last thing that I want to do, because in addition to these Instagram rants, most recently, if you follow her, you know that she has been going through a lot of bad luck. And there might be some truth to this stuff. I don't want to pretend like it's all fake. However, there's some things that don't add up. And it's just amazing to me that she seems to be the most unlucky human being on the entire planet. Especially over the past, like, I don't know, what did you say, 4 months since the finale?
Right. Yeah.
So let's like you and I try to put our heads together and remember all the things that she really had happen to her that have been really bad luck.
Okay.
So one of them being the car accident in her grandmother's car.
Yes.
Now everybody was okay. No one was hurt, which is good. But there was some interesting news about this. I think because it's essentially public knowledge now. She got in the car accident, and she says all this terrible shit about Rob. And the fact of the matter is, when it came down to it, Rob went and picked them up from the accident and brought them home. Even though she's the shittiest human being in the entire world to him, and uses the kids as leverage and is trying to bring him down, he still went and picked them up. Her, he probably did it for the kids, but he did it, which speaks a lot to his character.
Yeah.
And then, well, even prior to that, she had this hip thing. That's why she had the cane at her first court date. Isn't that unlucky?
Wow.
But even with the reconstructive hip surgery, from the time she got arrested to the time that she was up and walking around, just needed a cane, everything else was fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then she also had this major surgery happen recently.
Right.
Where she claims that her insides were falling out and she had to hold them in. That was post surgery though. Her wound opened up.
Okay.
But she also claimed that she was life flighted as a result of this. She also claimed that it was the fastest life flight ever. I didn't realize that they kept stats on this. I forget who I was talking to, and I'm like, do you think like these people that are flying the helicopter were like, okay, well, let's try and beat our last record. Start the stopwatch.
When they got there, they were all high-fiving probably.
Right.
Did it.
Because that's what first responders do, right? They brag about how awesome they are.
Yeah. That was the fastest time ever from wherever to Philadelphia.
They took a shortcut in the air.
Yeah.
Up until now, they've been zigzagging to the location. They finally figured out how to fly in a straight line. It's fucking ridiculous. And look, if she had this major surgery, there's every reason to believe that she did have some sort of major surgery, and I'm not downplaying that. I'm just downplaying the details of some of it, like how ridiculous they sound sometimes.
Right.
Everything's the biggest. Everything's the first for everything. And then, of course, not only that, but of course, she was put in a room that was right next to the first coronavirus patient in Pennsylvania.
Of course.
So we all have bets at Whitehorse when she's going to claim that she has the coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
Yeah. And the point I want to make here is, look, maybe this is all true, but how can we possibly believe somebody that has lied so much? You guys have all heard the story of the boy who cried wolf. She is the boy, and she cried wolf. She cried wolf way too many times, and I don't believe a fucking word she says. She posts these pictures and everything to try and prove it, but again, we know that she used to do that to manipulate the whole cancer thing. So my feeling is that she's getting ready to do this again in some way, shape, or form. She's testing the waters. She's seeing the people that follow her, if they're reaching out to wish her well and that kind of thing. And she's testing the water to see if there's somebody that will donate to her in some way, shape, or someone that she can take advantage of under the radar, because she just can't help herself. That is my thought. What do you think?
It's hard. You can't believe a single thing, because she was doing makeup the day after this massive surgery. Like right. You have to reach out to
her. Were falling out.
You have to reach out to those makeup fans, that one. And then after such major surgery in the midst of the new virus, they're sending her home.
Yeah, I mean,
I know they send people home fast from surgeries nowadays, but the level of which that surgery was, apparently, to be home after the wound opened up and they couldn't close it.
She's claiming that every day they have to take out her guts, if you will, clean, the wound, and then pack them back in.
It doesn't sound
like something that you should be doing at home or have somebody. Like, you need a sterile environment, controlled environment for something like that.
Right.
I would love a medical professional to comment on something like that. Maybe they are, maybe it's drastic times and they're so worried about this virus. But it seems to me that the virus is something that they can manage, worst case scenario.
Right.
For something like this. I would be much more worried about some sort of infection. That's the killer. You know what I mean? Like 98% of the people who get this virus recover from it. She's young, apparently healthy, sort of. I don't know.
Right. Who knows?
But you're not, a major infection for surgery like that? Like, I think about, I'm a Redskins fan, Alex Smith, who broke his leg. It was a brutal break. Yeah. But it came out afterwards that he had to have like 15 or 16 surgeries to remove infection as a result of that break. He almost died.
Right.
He was very close to dying. Hospitals don't mess around with that shit because they can get sued.
And that's a leg, not your chest cavity.
Right. So I don't know what to believe there. Again, we never wished her ill will. We just wanted to expose her lies. So, I don't want a bunch of people like going on her social media accusing her of lying about this, but there are some very obvious inconsistencies to her story. And I don't know if it's worth putting them together and going over them at this point, but if we have to, we certainly can and will.
Right. I want nothing but for her to come clean, well, go away. Yeah. But I'm a nice person. I want her to get better for her kids. Like, as a parent, like, I want her to get her life in order, which she says she's doing, and hopefully, but with these rants,
the actions don't follow that up. Now, again, I will admit that it's pretty much just been the makeup and the surgery for a while.
Right.
She hasn't mentioned the podcast or anything like that. She probably will after this, and maybe we come off a little petty doing this, special on her, this update special. But we decided to do this long time ago in the middle of these rants. That's
right.
the fact of the matter. So, and I will say this later on, a little spoiler alert here. Later on, there will be a pitch to her to maybe do some sort of redemption story in the future. So,
right.
Everybody loves a redemption story. When you hit rock bottom and you can pull yourself up and maybe do some good in the world, I'd listen to that, even if I'm not a part of it.
When she started following me, there was a part of me that wanted to reach out to her and just talk to her and say something as far as like, I hope everything's getting better. I hope, but I didn't have anything worded, but it felt like it wouldn't come across as genuine to her. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, and there would be no real good coming from it. I doubt she would even reply. So I don't know. I didn't do it. And I probably I think I unfollowed her.
Well, it would have been more genuine coming from you than it would from me. I'll tell you that.
No, well, that's because
more believable, maybe.
Right, and I honestly, I want her to get better. Like, we all do, but others have been vocal about how shitty of a person she is.
Yeah, well, she is at this point. That doesn't mean you can't come back from that, but you have to first admit it, and second, do something about it, make a difference. So that's all I'm saying. And look, I don't want to spoil. This is going to be like 3 hours long, by the way. Just if you made it this far, but it's I don't want to spoil the ending, but how great of an ending to this chapter would it be if she reconciled, not for us or anybody else, but just reconciled in general, and we were able to report on that? Because we would be fair if she actually did the things that she needed to do in order to redeem herself. We would absolutely report on that, and I would be the first to admit that she did it. But until that happens, this is where we're at. So I hope that you'll probably have to listen to this in pieces, but I hope you do listen to the whole thing, because there's a lot of great stuff, and the ending is wild. I'll tell you that. So thanks for checking this part of the episode out, and hope you enjoy the rest. Good morning, TEET Army. As you know, my name is Jeff, and I've been with TEET since the beginning. And I'm putting together this JVC update special. And this is the morning of the Tuesday that it's supposed to come out. And this is great because right up until the very last second, she's giving us newsworthy items. So yesterday, as some of you might have noticed, we put out a promo for this on our Instagram, Facebook, and the response we got was mainly from Jess herself. And I wanted to take the time to read that for you guys, because if you blinked, you missed it. She posted it on our page and then took it off within 3 minutes. And luckily, Krista, who manages our social media, got a screenshot of it real quick. She was real on. She was super on top of it. And then moments later, she posted an even longer rant on her Instagram, and then of course took it down. And of course, she'll probably say that she was hacked, because it's never her fault, ever, ever, ever. But I wanted to read this for you guys because it is just a classic and brilliant gold, as per the usual. So on our promo, she writes, "Oh, good. I need entertainment while on bed rest. Do you plan to notify all of the judicial emergency pushing my case back for months upon months, potentially? No resolution or a quick and minor plea deal because of low-level offenders will be expedited? It's going to be a very boring end to your long-anticipated demise of me. Or are we just going to spew more lies and hate? I mean, I am extremely concerned this group has yet to move forward. Wasn't there another season? I and others did notice that unless you mention me, you get 0 likes and no attention. It's like a good 1980s one-hit wonder. I'm going to pray for you guys and am proud of people who have separated themselves from you and reached out to me. A world pandemic is much more serious and worry to all. Your only update will be a summary offense charge that is in fact being dropped on behalf of the store due to lack of evidence. I mean, I just went through a massive emergency surgery. If you want to cover that, give it up already and move to season 3. I would much enjoy to watch that be as unsuccessful as season 2. You have 0 attention without speaking on me, and quite frankly, that speaks for itself." I mean, it's so wonderful. Again, I will point out that our job, our responsibility is to update our audience that stuck with us and came to us because of that story. And number 2, there was a season 2, and we created a whole other Facebook page for it, which is why you don't see a whole lot of action on the main TEET page. But she probably doesn't follow that page so much because it's not about her. And the clear obsession with us, if you want to accuse us of being obsessed with her, that's fine. But the clear obsession is also on her part with us because she's the first to respond. She still follows the page. It's like, if she didn't really care about this that much, why are you following the Ever Evolving Truth Instagram page? Why are you following and watching all the stuff we put out? How do you even know there's a season 3? Like, if you hate this show so much, if you hate the people involved so much, why are you following it? Because you love to hear about yourself. And frankly, you don't exist without the show. Because all of your fucking Instagram followers are people that listen to our show and are just waiting for you to do some batshit crazy thing. Talk about likes and comments. You get virtually 0 on your post. Nobody wants to see you do makeup. They just want to see you go batshit crazy, which you're doing a great job of lately, by the way. So thank you for this response. I love how you put it out. And maybe there's somebody in your ear, or maybe that little conscience, that little voice in your head tells you to take it down right after. But you should know by now that we're going to get the picture. We're going to get the screenshot every single time. Oh, wait, there's more. So this is on now her page. And it reads, guys. Apparently, the Ever Evolving Truth is releasing some video tomorrow about an update in regards to me. And considering, we'll just read from here. This is the second part of it. Considering the county is in a judicial emergency through April and in Delaware through May, I better listen so they can tell me what's going on with my case and myself. I mean, not I, my lawyers, anyone in law enforcement, or the prosecution even knows at this point. But apparently, per usual, they do. Thank God they can update me, my lawyer, and the DA. FYI, If you can't hear my sarcasm from here, I can scream it louder for you. How are you guys still buying into the bullshit? For the drama? Are you 15? It's sad. Absolutely pathetic and sad. Let me count the seconds it takes for this to be screenshot, posted, and a certain someone can hop on the internet with his coffee cup. I believe she's talking about this. It's not a coffee cup. It's just a cup. It's like a ripoff of a Yeti called a Zach, in case you're looking for a cheap alternative. With breaking non-news. Wait, wasn't I canceled so I could get mentally better? No, that's not the reason we canceled you. We attempted to cancel you because it drives you insane when you're not being talked about. But again, that wasn't my call to cancel you. I love how she sticks on a phrase that we came up with. Speaking of which, I am in therapy. Yeah. Speaking of which, I am in therapy, and it has been absolutely mind-blowing and fantastic and has given me so much strength. In accurate news, the number of people that have reached out to me about the podcast, siding with me and feeling the same stalking, desperate vibes as I do, has been alarming the past several weeks. Of course, all of a sudden, everybody just forgot that you stole thousands of dollars from people by faking cancer, and they sided with you. Get the fuck out of here. The messages have been insanely uplifting and insightful. Show them. Prove it. It's like I was their version of a 1980s one-hit wonder. Y'all tried. You tried. Maybe season 3 will make it further than about a month's worth of interest like season 2. Towards the end, season 2 got very much action. People reached out to us, and we have the messages to prove it, how much they enjoyed season 2. Anyone notice when they posted about Anna, the post would get 1 to 3 likes on average, but when about me, 10 to 15 likes. Again, she's so obsessed with herself. Likes on average. Don't quit your day jobs. We didn't. May I suggest that those few of you who still think I belong in a cell for years and years and I should perish in a fiery inferno without knowing my actual story, be at peace with the fact that a glamorized story for entertainment value is going to be like a good movie with a terrible ending that makes you mad you wasted your time. Seriously, it's not going how you think it is. Hashtag the ever-evolving truth. Thank you. Thank you for hashtagging us. We appreciate that. So the end is you got arrested. That was, it was to expose the fact that you were lying. The ending is already, this is all extra stuff. We are very well aware that there's a chance that you might not do any jail time. As far as the people that hope you do, yeah, do you blame them? Do you fucking blame them? And it's not just a few. It's thousands. Thousands of people think that you deserve jail time. And these two insane rantings by a raving lunatic are proof that she has not changed one bit. She's so self-absorbed and so delusional that she thinks she's an actual victim here. And if you can't tell that by these words here alone, just watch her Instagram videos. Because even though she says she's moved on, she, in fact, has not moved on. There's always some underlying tone about how she was exposed, but she doesn't. Of course, she doesn't think she was exposed. It was unfair to her. It was some sort of conspiracy. So this, like I said, I'm throwing this in the middle. It just happened last night, and I felt that it needed to get put into the update video. So that's what's happening here. Anyway, enjoy the rest of this. I hope you guys enjoy the updates, the incoming news as much as we do, and look forward to season 3 starting April 5th.
Some of it we covered and some of it we didn't, but this whole special, the whole idea was to try and get some fans of the show together. Leah, well, first of all, let me introduce who I'm here with. I'm here with Leah, who was a big part of the first season. And I'm also here with Andrea Speck, who is currently involved with the seasons that we're working on, but was a fan of the first season, which is how we got hooked up. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of just discuss what life has been like since the finale, what's been going on. We covered a lot of the stuff that she's done and said throughout, so we don't want to beat that dead horse necessarily, but there's some things that we can talk about. One of them, first of all, how you doing, Leah?
I'm great, Jeff. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good. How has life been since the TEET finale for you? Just in the TEET world alone.
Oh, well, it's been interesting. Let's put it that way. It's been interesting.
Do you miss the drama, the daily?
No, I do not miss the daily drama. I don't miss working on the show necessarily. I really, no offense to you, because
Right.
I work with you all the time. But no, I don't necessarily miss it.
Yeah,
Do
well,
you?
We won't go, we won't go into detail too much, but there was some tension at the end of the show. Not everybody gets along all the time, and but do I miss the daily happenings? Yeah, I do.
Really?
That was exciting. It was an adrenaline rush for me.
It was. I get that. I definitely get that. But it got to a point where it was intense. It was constant. It was intense. It was a lot of moral what's that word I can't say?
Ambiguity.
Ambiguity. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say.
Yeah, I think
We'll
you
probably
said
cut
it
that
right.
out.
Yeah, moral ambiguity.
Yeah.
That you're kind of like, oh, do we talk about this? Do we not? It was hard.
Yeah, I'm always a big proponent of we should talk about it.
Yes, you are.
No reason to filter anything here. And Andrea, you have an interesting perspective here because you were a fan of the show, season 1. Now you're working on it. You haven't really had the adrenaline part of it where things were happening in real time. These seasons that we're working on now are very different. They're equally as interesting, and you've been doing a wonderful job. But I'm always curious to hear from the listeners from there. What was it like listening to that in real time?
Oh, God. Starting probably with the first episode, listening to her, JVC, just kind of come out swinging. I mean, she just, like you guys said, she had this checklist, this cancer checklist, and she marked every single box. And then listening to, so the first one, I thought, she might be sick, she might not be. And then whenever you guys brought Christine on, I thought, well, that's kind of cheap. Like the ex, who wants to hear from her? Of course, she's going to be bitter. Mm-hmm. And then you left it liking her. You thought Christine's great. But then somewhere along the way, JVC came back, and she just doesn't know when to stop. And then finding out about all the people that she scammed, and who knew that you could send a transaction over Facebook Marketplace and you don't get your money back.
Right. And he could just
Did anyone know that?
I didn't know, not until we started doing this.
I think that was one of the big finds. Yeah, that was a big deal for me, at least. Like, who knew? Like, you get scammed and you're screwed. That was big to know.
Right.
It's interesting. Like, I felt kind of stupid. Like, obviously, I could get, like, Leah, I could say, hey, Leah, if you want to buy this from me, give me $50, just pay me through Facebook Marketplace. And then she could pay me the $50 and I could just disappear. I could block her. Mm-hmm. And there's no way for her to get in contact with me, or this is like just the internet in general is still such a new thing in the whole scheme of things that the police really don't know what to do in that situation. But it's essentially like I just literally took $50 from her. The only difference is it was digitally, not me like grabbing her purse.
Right.
Or just the different ways you can scam. I mean, didn't she run up a credit card, and then before it showed up on the report or the bill, she had called and said that it was fraudulent charges. So whatever she went and bought, she still has.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's not showing up and that's kind of clever. I mean, if you're into stealing.
Yeah, she has the basics down to a T. Like the surface part of it, it's and people are like, oh, she's not stupid. Where she's stupid is like following through with it. She gets bored and she doesn't follow up the details, and she gets herself caught. She's trying to juggle, 10 balls at a time when she's never juggled a day in her life.
Right.
So that's where she really makes the mistakes. But since the finale, we as a team, both former members and current members, have been struggling on and off with the idea that should we cover what she does? Should we not cover what she does? The fact of the matter is, at its peak, the show had 10,000 downloads an episode, and the whole social media presence of the Ever Evolving Truth was built on the JVC story. So I am of the opinion that we should cover her. Maybe not every little detail, maybe not give her the gratification of knowing that we have an eye on her, or at least the eyes in the back of her head. But when she does something major, I feel it's our responsibility to the people that have invested so much time in listening to us to tell them what's been going on.
Yeah. Do you think she finds it gratifying?
I think she
right now. Do you think she's going to listen to it and be like, just a little fire inside her is just burning, or is she embarrassed?
Oh,
That's
no,
a good question.
It's a
That's
great
good
question.
yeah.
I without a doubt believe that she gets gratification of us talking to her.
Mhm.
My goal in life is not to make her miserable. I don't care that she gets pleasure out of this. Good, if that good for her. What I care about is our audience. That's it, plain and simple.
I'm with you on that. I'm also of the belief that, look, I mean, I had Wags and Robin sit down with me for an hour and a half and break down her Instagram video. So do I want to answer her? I fucking do. I think when she gets to do things like what she did with that Instagram video, she gets to spin a narrative and run her mouth for as long as she wants to and call us criminals, ultimately say that we broke into her house or had something to do with it. I'm not going to let that slide. So yes, I think we do respond, and I think we come hard. I think we've been gentle, ultimately.
I do too, and ultimately it led to the restructuring of the team. But the fact of the matter is, we did try to ignore her, and it didn't work. She went on continuous Instagram rants after we went radio silence, accusing us of certain things, saying that we were under investigation. I'm still waiting for that case to be closed,
Right.
or opened to begin with.
Following through on them.
It's so I think we have an obligation to respond to that, if not to everybody, to ourselves, because it's interesting that even though the audience is 99%, if not 100%, with us when it comes to the JVC stuff, it's amazing how just telling a lie over and over and over and over and over again can confuse people. So people that don't pay attention every day 100% of the time, like we do, hear her say these things, and they'll message us and they'll be like, "Oh, are you guys still in legal trouble with JVC?" Like, no, we never were.
No,
that's her lies coming through. It's just over and over. When you hear things on repeat, you start to believe them.
Yeah.
To that point, what I think is really interesting is the one thing about, not the one, there's so many things about doing TEET that really, it was kind of like a fast track class in media, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And we learned a lot really quickly. And one of the things we learned is exactly what Jeff said. Look, we know so much. We know more than what we've aired. So we know that she's lying, but the casual listener, even the hardcore dedicated listeners, may not know what we know. And it's just a little difficult in how stories are told in a way that it kind of worked for her benefit in a way, certain parts of it. And we kind of just have to sit back and be like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like, well, we know, but you don't, like being sued 50,000 times, like,
right.
All that kind of stuff is stuff
Still wait on those letters.
Right. Yeah. We haven't gotten a deformation yet. So
we were promised, so I'm very disappointed. And Andrea, from a fan's perspective, did it ever get to be too much? Did we ever come off as petty or irresponsible when we were talking about?
No, I'm kind of a podcast snob. I would have checked out if it would have I thought that the gas kind of kept rolling. I mean, I can't remember now offhand. The couple that the husband was sick.
Yeah, Dave and Sarah.
Dave and Sarah.
Yeah, like that whole story, and you're thinking, what is this chick? Like, this chick's got tons of hours in the day to just scheme and move in on people, and it just, wow. But there are people she's not that uncommon. There are people that are like that. I know right now 3 people that have done, not to the magnitude of her, not to the dollar amount, but have done the same thing.
Yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, there are definitely people who even may be sick, like a little bit sick, and it turns into this huge thing, right? And then, people who, like, I have a friend at the school whose husband is in renal failure, and I didn't know for months, and we're friends. So, like, that's your average person. And then there's JVC. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell, and everybody knows the JVC too. Everyone knows her on some level.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what sucks a lot of us in, because we all do know a JVC, but she's the extreme end of it. You know, we see some people, maybe a local organization get $500-600 here and there, but not to the extent of, the GoFundMe's, the T-shirts, the Fight Like a Jessica, the things that she did. I mean, that was probably. Do you guys ever have a whole total of how much she scammed out of people?
It's really, well, yeah, it's really hard to say for sure, because there's some of the things that are accusations that will probably never be charged or brought to court to get the truth. But we were with if the credit card fraud was true, we're talking close to $50,000, if not more. That we know
along
about.
The way, did you guys have anybody that was raised their hand, was like, oh, she scammed me, and then you found out that she didn't, but they just wanted to be a part of something?
Not that.
Not necessarily. Not that. Becky, if you remember her interview, she didn't get the rings that she was promised. So she was very nervous that she just got scammed. And then eventually JVC did return her money for the fraudulent rings. So can you call that a scam? I don't know. She was trying to get away with something, but ultimately she did return the money. So that was the only instance I can really think of off the top of my head.
Right. And maybe BJ. I mean, if you want to say it because the law made her pay him back, like that kind of thing.
No, that's still a scam, because she was caught red-handed and she was forced. She didn't pay that back willingly. It was that, or she was going to do jail time. That's her. The South Carolina was her third strike.
Right.
She gets a slap on the wrist here in Pennsylvania. Delaware, if she gets found guilty there or takes another plea there, those are two felony strikes. You go down to South Carolina now, that's a third strike. You're doing jail time. You get found guilty. They're not pleading anymore. So that was necessary for her to survive, for lack of a better term. And a lot's happened since the finale. Those things that we're talking about being some of them. One of the things that she claims is that we're all going to learn the whole truth. And we know that this is in relation to Rob. She's been trying to drag Rob down with her, and I feel so bad for him on both ends, because I know that this podcast wasn't really in his best interest either. This podcast has not made his life any easier, and in some cases, it's it's fired her up to the point where she takes it out on him and ultimately the kids.
Yeah.
But we know that she is just making his life absolute misery. And she's so vindictive, and she gets away with it. That's the worst part.
Well, it's a family court system for you.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
it does not favor the man, even if you're a potential felon.
Not even if there's a whole season of a podcast that did really well. That's how crazy your baby mama is.
Right. That lines right up with the arrest report.
She is the stuff with Rob is so interesting, because part of the breakdown video we did was where she was ranting about the rent situation, which I'm assuming you're going to get into in this, where they're being evicted.
A little bit, yeah.
So Rob doesn't live there anymore. She's trying to blame it all on Rob. And again, I want to clarify, I have never spoken to Rob. Never. I know, I do not know Rob at all.
Neither have I. Neither have I. Yeah.
Yeah. He was very cautious and smart. I think he was really smart because look, there are kids involved. So, but I think one minute she's saying what a horrible person Rob is, and the next minute she's saying how great their relationship is. It's like you just tore him apart for 5 minutes, and now you're saying we're in a really good place. It's like not anymore. I just don't understand how she goes from A to B like that. Just boom, like it's crazy to me. Obviously,
We might have a really good example of that later on if Christine's able to talk about it. Recently she was in an accident with her grandmother's car and everybody was okay, but there's more to that story, and if we're allowed to tell it, it's very, very interesting, and it's a testament to Rob's character. But what's telling about this is that these things that she's claiming right now about Rob, she never talked to anybody else about. These were never issues before she got caught. That's what's telling, and that's how you know she's lying. But again, the court doesn't see it that way.
No.
Well,
Can I get your opinion on something, Jeff, since we were never allowed to talk about it on the show?
Yeah.
The bullying situation. Do you have any regrets or any emotional feeling? Do you feel a certain type of way about anything you said to her or did to her?
No. I think if you want to call it that, the relationship between JVC and myself, not just the show, but she has singled me out on several occasions, including writing an email to my broker demanding that they fire me. But I would call it, because I don't think there's really any way to describe our relationship, a love-hate relationship. Like here, this is something that I've dreamed of doing my entire life, having a show, producing a show, more so in the visual field. But my cousin and I used to just joke about having a radio show someday where we just goofed off and things like that. So did I think it was going to be in the true crime world? No. But the fact of the matter is, we were very careful to report only the things that we knew were 100% fact. And the things that she was doing were so ridiculous that they needed somebody to kind of describe him in a way that you would be talking with your friends. And that's who I am as a person. I'm going to talk to you no matter whether it's through a microphone or in person. I'm going to talk to you like you're my friend. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to give you my opinion. But that opinion was based around something that we've reported as fact. Now, like for instance, if you felt that as a listener that what she did wasn't that bad and I was being too hard on her, that's your opinion. But nothing we said about her was untrue in any way, shape, or form.
Never. There was, yeah, that's so true. Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, like if I'm in school and I see a kid beating up another kid every day for a year straight, and that kid fights back, am I going to call that kid that got his ass kicked for a year a bully? No, the kid that was the bully that's been kicking his ass, that got what he had coming. That's the fact of the matter.
Right. And if you think that JVC is mentally ill and that we were just beating up on a sick woman, you did not pay attention to the show. I'm sorry you didn't pay attention. And the things like Jeff said, there was a point where Jeff snapped. It was a good, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks where she was just beating us up, and Jeff just finally snapped. And once Jeff snaps, there's no pulling him back in. Like once that dog is off that leash, forget about it. It's gone forever. And I think I was pretty fair to her, very fair to her. And I've said this before, and I think I catch shit for it. I liked her when I first met her. I did not want to believe that she was faking it. I did not want to like Christine. I handled Jess in the beginning. I have the text conversations with her. I was the one that built the rapport with her. So when she did come for me, it felt personal. And again, that's another learning experience. I did get too attached to the story. And I forgot that she was a story in a way. You have to remember that she is a person, yes, but she's also our story. And I know that now. And looking back, I was a little sensitive there when people were, because to have someone that you're personally friends with listen to your podcast in the first place is weird, right?
Yeah.
And then to have that person message you and be like, you're a bully, you're a horrible person, and end a 38-year relationship because of it was a little hard for me. But now looking back, I don't think we did anything wrong. I really don't.
Looking back, that your friend that was the only person that thought we were bullying her. The other people that claimed to be bullies, now at first we didn't realize that she had all these burner accounts.
Right.
They were all fake accounts accusing us of bullying. So nobody really thought that except for your one friend who knows what the fuck she's thinking. But it's again, after punching all these people in the face, and then finally we push back a little bit. All of a sudden, we're the bullies after you've been bullying people for your whole life.
Yeah,
Come on, like you can't sell that story to anybody.
Mm-hmm. Right. Agreed.
Welcome back, TEET fans, to the JVC post-finale special that I am titling Since the Finale. And this segment we have here, actually someone that we didn't interview, we probably should have, Robin Lynn. How are you, Robin?
Great, Jeff. Thanks for finally having me on. I appreciate that.
Well, hey, look, you've struck your own fame chord with Mams. You're getting way bigger than the show. We have to, reel you back in from time to time. But everybody knows you now, so you have an interesting perspective on this whole thing, and we'll get to that. But we also want to introduce fan favorite from season 1, Amanda Wagenseller. How are you, Amanda?
I'm so good. How are you, Jeff?
I'm good. I'm anxious to discuss some things with you here. Your first interview is going to be very different from this one. The first interview was on the somber side, rightfully so. But I think, 4 or 5 months removed from that, you're in a different place. We're all in a different place, and you've really come out of your shell, if that's what we could call it, even. But we're going to hear a different Amanda in this interview, I promise. So all we're doing here is for this special is just kind of discussing what's happened since the finale. And we don't want to harp on the things that we've already covered. We know that she went on Instagram rants and she called people out, and she faked a robbery, allegedly, blamed us for that robbery, left a note in a red crayon, stole all her medical documents and all that bullshit. All that's been covered. We just kind of want to just cover where the people involved in season 1 have been all this time. So I want to start with Robin, because for those of you that don't know, Robin is the actual person that called JVC out on the T-shirt scandal, right? You were the original one.
I'm an OG, yes.
You're the OG.
Yes.
And for those of you that don't know, you weren't following, there was no consolidation of the information at that point. Was it Instagram that you called her out on?
No, it was actually Facebook.
It was Facebook. Okay.
It was Facebook. Yeah, I got really tired of watching her tag people, and so I decided to reach out to the T-shirt company, and that's what I called her out on it. And I just started messaging other folks and said, "Hey, watch out! This is a scam, and just be careful." And then I became the person with years of mental abuse and just all kinds of bullshit that Amanda vindicated me from. So thank you very much.
always welcome to that.
So you guys are actual friends, right? Well before the show, well before JVC, you guys have been friends for a while.
Correct.
Yes.
We were friends even when she was friends with JVC, and I was not friends with JVC.
You were not in that clique.
I was definitely not in that clique.
She could afford me a little bit more.
I'm also a little older than those ladies,
Right.
so
More mature.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely way more mature.
You weren't involved in the shenanigans that they were up to.
No shenanigans, no multiple weddings, none of that.
So what made you call, I know you said you got tired of her tagging people. Were they people that you knew? Were they friends of yours?
It absolutely wasn't anybody I knew. I looked at it like, if she's laying on the bathroom floor and giving up on life and then calling people out for being selfish and greedy if they're not willing to donate $5. But then she's taking all of her time to promote her own GoFundMe and her own t-shirts and then tagging people. I had two reasons behind reaching out to the t-shirt company. One, first and foremost, to thank them. If this was in fact legit, I was going to thank them for being so generous with their donations. And secondly, I needed to know for myself if this actually was really happening. And then when I found out it wasn't, I kind of held on to that in my back pocket. And then I wanted her to publicly say who was actually producing the t-shirts. And once I had that, then I kind of started infiltrating those people that she was tagging and saying, this is not actually what's really going on. I just want you to be careful before you give your money away to something that's not actually going to what it's supposed to be going to be for.
Right. That has to be an awkward conversation with strangers. Like, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but there's a chance you're not going to get your fucking t-shirt here. And here's why.
You're definitely not getting a t-shirt. She's too busy laying on the bathroom floor giving up on life, but then begging for somebody's last $5. None of it made sense to me. Like, not 1 ounce of it made sense to me. So, and then when I said, okay, like, I'm not trolling, but here's what's happening. So her and I went toe to toe for quite some time.
Oh yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So you reached out to the t-shirt. What did they say to you? Who did you talk to? And because we know Mounts talked to the CEO when he was at his son's wedding in Hawaii. Who did you talk to from the t-shirt company that confirmed it was not them?
I forget who I spoke to. There was a Facebook message that I started it, and then once I locked them down on Facebook, I actually called and I spoke to a gentleman, and he said that he was not aware of any of the charitable donations. He was not aware of this, but it really broke his heart because they are huge with donations in their area, and he didn't want this to get like bad press for what he's doing, and he didn't want to be taken advantage of. He was pissed.
Naturally.
So I took that, and that's when I started. I didn't give a shit. I started reaching out to every single person she tagged on selling these t-shirts. I reached out to every single person. I took time away from my children and away from my job to further support the cause that I finally was going to expose this horrendous person.
Now, she did not react to that well, did she?
Oh God, no. She had her army come after me, and I was a horrible human being.
Let's be clear, the army was just a bunch of versions of her. We know that they're just a bunch of burner accounts and maybe one person that was defending her.
Yeah. Oh, I got a bunch of hate mail, and I got, how do I have time to deal with why am I not putting my efforts forth something that is some stupid message about something that's an actual problem? Why am I so hard on her? And what is I'm jealous of her.
Right. You're jealous of a cancer diagnosis. That makes sense.
Correct.
And how dare, what better cause than to stop people from getting ripped off?
Exactly. Yeah.
So like, how dare you warn people that they're wasting their money? How did the people react when you told them?
I only got one response. I got blocked by a lot of people because I did try to send another follow-up message.
Really?
And I got blocked by a lot of people. But then I kind of just gave up on it. Was like, you know what? I'll say what I need to say once. If they want to correspond back and forth, they can. A lot of the community, the powerlifting community, they actually reached back out to me, and they told me that they also suspected something wasn't right because of how tight-knit that community was, and things just did not make sense to them either. So I formed friendships with some of those folks, and
they were suspicious for a while too, which is
quite
why
some time.
They were open.
Yes.
So that's interesting. I wonder, and let's be honest here. I wonder how many of our listeners received a message from you and blocked you originally, and now are thinking, "Damn." And look, no hard feelings. We're not going to make fun because. Look, getting a weird message from somebody that you never met about this woman who you just bought a T-shirt from that you assume has cancer. I get it. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be receptive at first either. Like I would probably well, at least let's at least give her a chance to deliver. But now looking back on it, I wonder how they would react. I wonder if they owe you a little apology.
Yeah. right when you guys started taking off. So I said this, when TEET was picking up that momentum, because it seemed every 5 minutes somebody else had a connection to her and to what she did and how horrible of a person that she was. So for me, I was like, no, this is actual proof that she's a lying fucking piece of shit. Like, I have proof. So I sent my screenshot to a ton of people and said, I just want you to be aware that this may not be the real deal. And then I sent that information.
I want to go over to Wags, and we're going to come back to you, Robin, because your story with her takes an interesting turn here. Again, I keep talking that like we're gonna discuss things that happened after the finale, and here we are, right back to what happened long before the finale. But I want to ask you, Wags, how has life been since the finale?
Oh, I think it's been pretty great. Like you said, I've come out of my shell. It just took me getting a podcast of my own with Robin and Leah to bring it out. I've, I've met a lot of really good people because of Teet and because of her. So I think it's been pretty good. We have a lot of really amazing things in the works, and a lot of really amazing people have come out of kind of the shadows of her. So it's been good.
I agree. It's interesting how such a terrible thing can bring people closer together, or just bring people into each other's lives, and good things can spawn from that. The last time we left off in your interview, you said things like you'll always care about her. You wish that things wouldn't have gone this way, and that kind of thing. How do you feel now? Like if you had to deliver a message to her, what would that message be right now?
Oh my God.
Because a lot has happened, and the Mams launched their YouTube channel with a response to her Instagram rants, which were just hate-filled and filled with misinformation and lies. Some about you guys, but mainly about the TEET team, that kind of thing. But you guys responded to it, and you did a great job, in my opinion, of just responding directly to what she was saying. So, how do you feel now? She hasn't really shown remorse, in my opinion. Do you still wish the best for her? What's your message?
Oh God. So in that Instagram rant, she called me out saying that I wasn't genuine, and I think anyone that read any of the messages that I sent to her, or even the TEET producers and friends like Robin, like, I was very genuine in what I said to her, and I stand by that. I would have helped her, not because I liked her, but because I wanted to kind of, do greater for the good. Now looking back and seeing where she's gone and how she hasn't really stopped, and it's just excuse after excuse, taking in my opinion, no responsibility or no accountability. I appreciate the friendship that I had with her at the time. I don't care for her. And at this point, it's not that I wish her the best. I just wish that she would find a way to move on with her life and, hope and pray that she gets a second chance.
And doesn't use that for evil.
Well, exactly. And, you have all these things against you. You have all these friendships, relationships, family life, all these things that have completely crumbled. You really have nowhere to go but up. And hopefully by going up, you make better choices. But from what I've seen, from what I've heard other people share with their experiences, I don't think she's capable of that. Yeah, I don't think she's capable of that. And that sucks, but I'm done. Like, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I could have done. It is what it is. I'm in a better place in my life. I mentally feel better. I feel clearer. Yeah, it's crazy as hell to talk about her, but she's not going to give anything to my life, or probably to anyone else's life, that's going to benefit them.
No, and it's like, it started. There was radio silence for a while because I believe the initial shock of getting caught and arrested and all that stuff. No matter what you did or who you are or how evil you are, that's going to be a shock, and that's going to be a shock to the system. And then that kind of wore off, and then she came out with the quote unquote apology video, which was anything but. It was more of a fuck you guys video. Fuck you for feeling like I ripped you off, even though I did. That's really what the video was. It wasn't an apology. And then, the accusational tone that she took in all of her Instagram videos. And then there was radio silence for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would come back. And then, then there was the BJ thing where she refunded his money, and she insisted that the news outlets and the podcasts come out and say that it was resolved.
But did she really? Did she personally refund him, or
it.
did somebody else?
Well, whether it was her or not, it wasn't out of the goodness of her heart. She was forced to. She had no choice.
Yeah.
That's not making amends when you are forced to do something. So it speaks volumes to the type of person that we're dealing with here. And I want to get back to Robin, because it's interesting, because you have some very inside information, and the nature of this is not to bash her in any way or try to reveal any secrets that she shared, but she reached out to you, Robin. And I find that interesting. Instead of a former best friend, she reached out to the person that exposed her.
I know.
and exposed her as a fraud, and tries to befriend you in some way after she called you mentally ill and berated you and bashed you and tried to ruin your reputation. Try to ruin your reputation right up until the day she reached out and said, "Hey, I need some makeup advice." Because that's the new career. The makeup, the Twitter.
What a world we live in, right? It shows you the way. It shows you the way that her thought process goes. Like, let's not reach out to Amanda or any of the other people that have showed any kindness to her at all. Let's reach out to Robin, who basically
who was brutal from minute one.
Over
like, I will cut her. I will cut her throat. And then she reached out to me. Just was blowing up my Twitter inbox, and I have all the messages, and she's been cordial, and
and that's like that's what I want to make this clear. Like, we could exploit this relationship that you've built with her, whatever you call it. Relationship is just for lack of a better term, but we could exploit that as a show. This is what we could have you milk her for information all we want, and then just expose the lies and things like that. But we haven't up until now. We've just let that relationship kind of turn into whatever it is, and it's interesting if nothing else.
That's why I'm in sunglasses and a hoodie, Jeff. I don't want my real identity to be revealed.
You can, when she says I trusted you, you can be like, it wasn't me.
It definitely wasn't me. TEET made me do it.
We have you in a secure location.
Yes.
We're
just don't break into my
you.
house.
Yeah. We ripped off your lashes in a brutal fashion.
You took my lashes for ransom. I knew that's what was happening.
Forced you to talk. So she reaches out to you about makeup, but she's also been forthcoming, if you want to call it that. It might not be the truth, but it's in her mind, I guess it's her truth about what's been going on about the case and things like that, which is interesting because it's a direct rebuttal from what like a DA would talk about or would mention, or
Correct.
The DA that Andrea talked to had some very clear information about what happens in cases like this, and it directly contradicts what JDC was saying to you.
Well, that's her whole life is a contradiction. Her entire life contradicts itself.
Right.
So yeah, my messages in the Twitter inbox have been interesting. She started with the makeup, and then we've gone, and I have been very open and honest. I have asked her, like she stated from the very beginning, just ask me. Well, here I am. I'm asking her, and it started with, if you're not working and you're facing all of these allegations and you have no money, how is she buying Jeffree Star and James Charles palettes? And that was a legit question I had. And she said, thank you for actually asking me. And she said that it was a gift from her brother, which I tend to think that that is not accurate information. I have some insight on that as well. And we've just had conversations back and forth. I have asked her about her case. I have asked about her plans moving forward. I have asked her how the children were handling this. She states that her and Rob co-parent very well together, but then in another sentence, he's apparently been arrested for reckless driving, blah, 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 blah. So,
Which is not true.
it's a whirlwind of just conversation, and none of it makes sense because it's so hard to piece what's happening. And I don't know if she's doing like a voice to text and then sending it. I don't know if she just doesn't really have the skill to put everything in that linear time frame so that it all starts to make sense. I don't know what's really happening, but she has opened up and given me a lot of insight. And most recently, she has undergone an evaluation with a psychologist. From her lawyer required it, as well as the DA required it, the courts, if you will. And they both came back with the same exact diagnosis and the same exact notes. And now they have to put together a plea. Like,
what was that diagnosis?
I don't know, but it's not insanity. LOL.
Which,
That's excitement.
So she told you that she's excited to see what kind of plea deal they put together now.
Correct.
That they've proven that she's not insane, which to me, a sane person would be like, uh-oh.
I'm fucked.
There's no excuse for what I did. I didn't do it because I was insane. I did it because I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just... and then more recently, the HIPAA violations with the Imodium in her purse, with the charges that were released about the retail theft. And then lo and behold, her child stole something from the store, and then they wrote a ticket, allegedly. But then the cop who allegedly wrote the ticket wrote a different cop's name on the ticket, which is not only in my mind illegal, but unethical as well. Right? Like, I'm not going to say, oh, here I am, somebody of the law who's above a regular person. I'm supposed to enforce. And then I'm going to say, no, I'm just going to put Amanda's name on there because that's just going to be funny.
Ma'am, did you know that you have pending felonies in 2 different states and you're out on bail? This would certainly land you in jail. You know what? I'm going to do you a favor, even though you stole something.
You're so nice.
Are we really to believe that the police would do that? Maybe they would. I don't know. I mean, coming from her,
I don't know.
I don't believe it.
I mean, she reached out to me, so at this point, anything's possible.
So, I mean, this like, we know that she's an attention whore. She has to be relevant. She has to be talked about. Amanda, what are your thoughts on this? And I don't know if we're going to play this until the very end of the special, but what are your thoughts on this retail thing? Is this a cry for attention? Is this, or she just can't help herself? I mean, certainly she has to understand the consequences of getting caught.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense unless she's into like, let me just do this just to prove that there is something wrong with me. You know what I mean? Like, let me do this, whatever, regardless if it was a child or her or whatever the case would be. But you would also think, like, she's so well known in the area. Why would you even chance that? Like, if I were her, I wouldn't be out shopping. I would be having everything delivered to me. I'm not going to put myself out there, especially in an environment where you already have charges for receiving stolen goods. Like those charges are pending. But I don't know how that works because she hasn't been like convicted of it. So I don't know if they run her background, if it comes back that she has those on there or not.
Oh, they know.
Well, exactly. I just can't imagine a logical person would say, this isn't right. Like, this isn't a story you would tell.
Let me wait until this is all cleared up before I start stealing shit again.
Again.
Exactly.
But it just proves my theory is that she has no remorse. She's not a good person. Plain and simple. She proves me right every day.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Ever-Evolving Truth, the JVC Update Special, which without any regard for the team or even asking their opinion, I've decided to title it Since the Finale. And what we're going to do is we're just talking to members of the team, fans of the show that became members of the team, just about what's happened since the finale, where they're at, their perspective on season one from their point of view, because we don't get a chance to really go into depth with people about their perspective of the season. You know, all we know it is from where we're sitting. So with me for this particular segment is, of course, Greg Sterner. You guys all know Greg because he came on board with us season 2. He was a fan of season 1. Greg, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on the special. I had said to you before off the air, but I'll just share it with the audience that I was such a fan of season 1 and just the incredible human drama that unfolded over 30 some odd episodes, that when you had texted me out of the blue, when you just hinted that you may want me to come on board for season 2, I think my exact response was, without even thinking about it, absolutely yes. Which can tell you how much I wanted to be part of this whole program.
Right. If I wanted to trick you, like I was going to lead you off a cliff to your death, you would have just been following right behind me without any.
I would have skipped merrily off the plank.
I'm like the Pied Piper.
Right.
Also with us for this segment is Kelly McCann. She was a fan of season 1. And when we put out the word that we were looking to expand our team, she responded very quickly, and she is now officially part of the TEET team for hopefully what we're looking forward to seasons 3, 4, and 5. How are you, Kelly?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Say hi to your new audience.
Hello, everybody. Looking forward to getting some good seasons coming your way.
Yeah, absolutely. What I found interesting as a podcast fan, we operate within a medium that isn't live, so it's very hard to break news as it's happening. And so what I found interesting about the JVC story from a podcast platform perspective is that what we were reporting on was essentially happening as close to real time as this platform can get. I'm always curious to see what the feelings are, what the perspective is from the people listening and not knowing what's going on behind the scenes. So are you able to talk about that a little bit, maybe elaborate on what you were experiencing as just a listener?
Sure. I had actually previously heard about this story, and I was like, whatever, that's not true. And then you guys picked up this story, and I was instantly captivated. Like, how can this get any more crazy? Just when you think you've hit the tip of crazy, it extends it even more. And I could not wait for another episode. And I think you guys did a really good job at, communicating everything. But I know myself and a lot of people, we just wanted more. 2 episodes was just not enough for us.
Yeah, some people wanted us to release an episode every day, and it was just it was very difficult to organize the information coming in so quickly, and then try to come up with, hey, what are we going to do for this episode? Is this something we can run with? Is this something that we can confirm? Is this something that we can talk about? So it would have been impossible to put out more than 2 episodes a week, even though there was times that we wanted to.
I believe it, because you had to verify all of her ridiculousness.
Yeah. And her MO is just to spew lie after lie after lie until people start to believe it. Or you just don't know, you question yourself, is this true or is this not? Even if we're staring at the evidence right in our face, you question yourself, because she just over and over and over again, the consistency that she used to mislead. It was definitely interesting. But we also want to talk about what happened since the finale. A lot has happened. We've covered most of it on the Facebook Lives and the Instagram Lives. She's accused us of being responsible for whoever broke into her apartment or her townhome. She's said that the TEET team is in trouble How do you guys feel about being part of a podcast that is apparently in legal trouble? Are you guys worried at all?
I mean, I'm afraid she's going to go after my own business and talk to my boss. That's me. So
You're saying if she writes your boss an email, which is you,
yes,
you will not fire yourself.
I might not.
That's good to know. That job security must be nice.
It is. It is. Yeah. I mean, I really hope she does email me though, because I would love to. I would love to email her back.
And Greg, what are your thoughts on what's happened since the finale?
Well, I've honestly been completely fascinated. It's been a bizarre, what I would call a mutual obsession story happening simultaneously on both ends. I mean, you've never made any bones about the fact that Jessica and her story and her antics and everything else were the rocket fuel that took season one to the really, when you even thinking back on it now, only a few months later, just a surreal place where Jeff Berg is on Good Morning America talking about it. It's absolutely nuts. You never made any bones about the fact that she was the rocket fuel for that. So anytime anything related to Jessica has come up, we have been more than happy and glad to cover it. And we're happy because as someone now behind the scenes, you can tell the level of interest just ramps up to an incredible fever pitch. On the other side, it seems like Jessica has what I would call an unhealthy obsession with the show and the level of coverage that the show has given. And even when you guys during season one and slightly after were being brutal in your commentary about her, speaking what you consider to be some hard truth, but really brutal words. And it's like she kept coming back for more and more and more. So it's been fascinating to watch. I have my own thoughts on that, which Jeff and I have talked about, but all I can say, Jeff, is since the finale, it's been a surreal, you couldn't pay for soap opera material like this. This is like the best, most melodramatic Melrose Place season, you could think of. Just the scandal meter is at a fever pitch. So that's my take.
Yeah, I'm glad we ended it when we did because as someone who pays attention to all types of media and especially, television, film franchises, things like that, the worst thing that you can do is hang on for too long. So the best shows out there end the show when they originally thought the story was supposed to be over. So I'm glad we ended it when we did because I didn't want to just hang on for the sake of hanging on. And I think we all agreed, all the members of the team agreed at that point that we ended at the right time. However, I will say that the events that have taken place since could have easily filled in another 15 to 20 episodes.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There's no doubt about it. It's really unbelievable. And that's something that we can talk about too. I asked some of the other panels about this. There's no secret now that the way we cover JVC has become a topic and also a kind of a wedge that's been driven in between current and former TEET team members. There's some that are on the side of you should just ignore her and it will drive her insane, and that should be our goal. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is where I'm at, where I say we have tried. We went radio silence on her for 2 weeks, and it did not change anything. We tried that, and I'm on the side of the coin where this is now our responsibility. We have a listenership that expects us to give them updates when they happen, and my loyalty is to the listeners. I'm not worried about driving JVC insane. I could care less whether it drives her insane or not. We need to cover the things that are newsworthy, and people expect our commentary on that too, right or wrong. So there's some people that believe that we should just ignore her and on the team, and both current and former, and there's some people that believe that we shouldn't. Where do you guys stand on that? And let's get the take as listeners too, not necessarily as team members. Did it ever become too much? Did it ever seem petty? We'll again start with Greg.
It did until she would talk again, and then it didn't. So I had my moments where I was like, "Oh man." There was even some humorous moments where you guys at one point were talking about a tragic circumstance that had happened, and you gave like the worst set of condolences in the history. But you were trying, even in that moment, you were trying to like be like honest, and it just came off so weird. But so my thought on it is, I think if she has done everything she's accused of doing, then every last one of those episodes and the content that was contained therein, she had it coming. I think you could argue that point until the cows come home. That being said, me personally, I am ready for a different story to be told. Not necessarily about a different person, but a different story about Jessica being told, because I'm not sure how many times you can roll out the person into the town square and stone them while they ask for more. I'm not sure how long you can go with that. So I guess to answer your question, my craving would be that the story shifts, not necessarily the subject.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you. It's just every time we think that this is winding down and this part of her life is over, she has to, whether it's a plea deal, whether she gets a slap on the wrist, she has to face the music at some point. At some point, the continuances of the case stop, and she has to go in front of a judge, and they either take a plea deal or she fights it. That has to happen at some point. She has to face the music. Just when we think that she's just, going to lay low, put her head down, get to that point, and hopefully, in her mind, she gets a slap on the wrist and moves on. Just when that happens, we get just another little nugget of drama that she just cannot help herself. And so even though I don't disagree with you, Greg, it's just she keeps bringing us back. Even when we try to move on, she keeps bringing us back to that town square where you would stone a stone cold criminal.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And honestly, if the story can't shift unless Jessica would be a voluntary participant in that shifting. Like, she has a role to play in that shifting, and if she's not going to play it, it's not going to happen. And then at that point, I agree with you. As the podcast that is most closely associated with the story, you do have a journalistic responsibility, at least, to cover this as newsworthy material. I just hope, for her own sake, that she allows a different story to be told at some point, because this will get sad and pathetic in greater numbers as time goes on.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, even though we're still doing TEET, we've moved on to other things and other projects as well that we've always wanted to do. It's just now we have a little bit of an audience to view those things. So even though we haven't stopped keeping our eye on Jess and Anna, the Anna case, we're doing it. We're giving that side eye. It's like, well, our fingers on the pulse, but we're fine if she doesn't say another word the rest of her life. That would be in her best interest. But
we're going to move on either way.
She keeps drawing us back in.
Yeah.
And Kelly, your perspective from a fan, now you've sat through 2 seasons, and both seasons were very different. Did it ever get to be too much, JVC? Like, did you ever want us to just leave it alone for a while and just focus on something else?
Personally, I feel that I did like the season. I did want it to keep going. I would like her to be accountable. I feel like she hurt so many people financially, personally, and until she is found accountable, she's just going to continue to do it. And I really had a hard time with this because I do run a nonprofit, and I try to be very transparent about where the money goes, and to see someone be able to throw something like this up there. My father had cancer last year, and to see her do this and get all this money and just be faking it, it made me so mad. And I don't ever want anybody to be taken advantage of. And she needs to get some help, number one, and she needs to be held accountable, whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, it's got to be infuriating if you're working for a nonprofit or you run a nonprofit. A lot of that responsibility is to fundraise. You know how difficult it is to get people to donate, and here she raised over $10,000 with what seems like ease.
Mm-hmm. Well, cancer stories, they're tough. Sex stories are pull at your heartstrings, and you want to help so much, and everybody wants to give, as much as they can, but it really skews your view if now anybody's popping up on here and doing these GoFundMe. And trust me, I know that tons of people do GoFundMe scams all the time, and I don't like GoFundMe platform, but that's a whole other episode. But yeah, I just feel like, she needs to be accountable.
Yeah, I think that's why people are hanging on to this. They want an apology, or they want to see her burn in some way. They want to see what if she's going to get more than a slap on the wrist. And it just seems what's incredible about this is even if you weren't affected by her personally, everybody has a story about cancer, so the story affects them personally. Mm-hmm. Her story. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why everybody's hanging on, and we continuously get the same answer. No, you guys didn't bully her. No, you guys didn't. You didn't cover her too much. You didn't. In fact, you could cover her more, and it wouldn't seem like bullying. And that's what she likes to claim to accuse us of this bullying. And in one of the other panels, I used the analogy. Maybe this will make sense. If every day for a year, I punched Greg in the face every time I saw him. And then one day he punched me back. And then I started crying and I called him the biggest bully ever. Would anybody believe that Greg's a bully in that situation?
Well, what's funny is that I think, that's a pretty lame defense on her part. And I think people see through that immediately when she does it. It's interesting, though, because we were just talking about other cases of cancer-based GoFundMes and stuff like that. When I first listened to that first interview, you and I hadn't really talked. I think the first time you had reached out to me on it was just, hey, check this out. Tell me what you think. So I listened to that first interview the first time, not knowing the truth. And my default my default setting was to believe what she said. And I think that when somebody who you, as a human default, you put your belief and your faith in what they're saying to be the truth, you feel an extra level of betrayal when you find out, which we all seem to have done, that was not the truth. So that, I think, was a big factor, too, in how betrayed people eventually became, and maybe what's driving this fervor, too, like you said, drag her out one more time to the town square and throw some more rocks, because they want to see that final takedown of this person that literally has been built up like almost a cartoonish level villain, like the woman you love to hate.
What do you guys think of this latest charge, or I should say arrest? We got the docket. It's apparently for retail theft. It's a summary offense. For those of you that don't know what a summary offense is, it's like a step above a traffic violation, a step below misdemeanor. So it probably wasn't for a major item or a lot of money. But Kelly, let's start with you. What's the thought here? And I'll give you this bit of context. We have a source that's been in contact with her that asked her about it, and she claims that there's two claims being made. One, that one of the kids walked out with something by accident, which does happen. If you're a parent, you've probably been in that scenario once or twice before. Usually they don't give you a summary offense for that, though. And then the other thing is that it was one big conspiracy, of course. This woman is involved. The whole world is out to get her. They followed her in there. They set her up, so on and so forth. So, Kelly, what are your thoughts on this retail theft report that we're getting? And we're recording this on Sunday, February 23rd. 24th is a Monday. One of our team is going to go over and try to get the right to know. So we will have more information on this. But as of right now, the docket says retail theft, arresting officer. So we think she was arrested. What are your thoughts, Kelly?
Another crazy. How does it get any crazier? If you're supposed to be, on good behavior, what are you doing, even remotely? It's unbelievable. I don't even, I guess I have 2 young kids, and I guess if they stole something, I would be mortified and cry, and I would apologize, but I don't think I would be arrested. I mean, I don't know the police system. I've never stolen anything. My kids haven't stolen anything to my knowledge. But I think that the store might have been a little bit lenient, saying, okay, give us back our thing and, we'll call it a day. And that the conspiracy thing about somebody following her in, who has time for that? Who wants to do that?
Right. It's so ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Everything was a conspiracy. The burglary, the podcast, the cancer thing, BJ's equipment, everything she sold and didn't deliver on, the T-shirt. It was all a conspiracy against her. She's always hacked. She always gets hacked. Like, it's never her on Facebook attacking everyone. It's always someone hacked my computer. It's never her sending the emails from fake accounts. Someone hacked me. I mean, at what point does this become and no longer believable? And the police are like, all right, lady, enough is enough. So I guess another question I might have is it possible that maybe her kid did walk out with something unwittingly and the police stopped her, or the store caught her, the loss prevention caught her, called the police, they came in, ran her information, saw her background and said, we're not buying this kid thing. Is that
certainly possible? Certainly possible.
Yeah, if they did it that quickly and was like, okay. But so she wouldn't go right to jail for that, for violating?
Well, here's what I think. I don't think that they can... you're innocent until proven guilty. I don't think they can revoke her bail without having a conviction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I brought that up earlier. At first, because the only thing I had seen of this docket was a picture. So my first thought was, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. This could be a total fake job from either her or anybody else that had a bone to pick with the podcast. It seems now that we've got some confirmation from her herself, giving it the validity by saying, "Oh, it's not what it says." So going on the assumption that this is what happened, I had the same thought as Kelly. Like, well, okay, she's out on bail. If she gets literally caught shoplifting, my thought would be they'd take her right to jail. Like, okay, you were just witness doing a crime. But I think what you say, Jeff, is probably the case, that even if this is what is alleged by an eyewitness account of an officer or the associate in the store that reported it to the officer that came and attended, they probably would have to have some kind of hearing like anything else before they could just haul her ass to jail. So if that's what happened, and this is going to be yet another cherry on top of the shit sundae, I really don't. I said there's one of two things. Either she has let her compulsions completely overtake her, and this is the behavior of like, I'm reminded of those rats that ingest a certain toxic chemical, and it makes them attracted to cat urine. So they basically hang around until they're killed and eaten. It's like this compulsion to do something that is the opposite of everything your brain should be screaming to you, don't do, stay out of this trouble. And it seems like if this has happened and it is her that did the stealing, then her compulsions have completely overtaken her at this point. Or she thought up a situation that she could talk her way out of, blaming it on the kid, saying that this was only assumed, blah, blah, blah. And it's because maybe an attention fix was needed. And I say maybe because I don't know. I haven't talked to her about it, so I don't know. But I think that that's very possible that she needed a fix, and this was maybe the least dangerous thing she could do to her own future.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
I have two thoughts on this. One, wouldn't it be, I'm going to use the word ironic, but in my mind, I want to say hilarious that she stole, let's say she stole a $20 tube of lipstick or palette of makeup, and that's what revokes her bail and she ends up in jail while she waits her hearing. And number two, here yet again is another potential example of her exploiting her children, using her children to get out of things, or using her children to raise money for a fraudulent cause. You know.
Well, it's a pretty good excuse if you're going to have one, if you're going to make up one, and like if you're going to, like Jeff, if you had to run with a major lie, and like your compulsions drove you to such a degree that the lie was going to happen. Using your kids is actually probably one of the better excuses you can use, because she has kids of the age that this shit does happen as a matter of teenage hijinks and shenanigans. And you could blame a number of things on, my daughter's out of control lately. She did this. And now, of course, it looks bad for me because of all this other stuff I've been accused of. So when you think about it that way, sure, it's exploiting her kids. And if that's what she's doing, that's a terrible thing. But if I was compelled to lie and then had to back up my lie, as excuses go, it's probably one of the better ones she could use.
Definitely the most believable, I would think. So the last thing that I want to do here, I want to, in an ongoing effort to be a better person, we always want to be grateful for the things that we have. And I'm JVC's biggest critic. I make no apologies towards it. But in one of the other segments, it just came up naturally that I said, even though I hate her and she hates me, and I think it came up in the discussion. We were talking about how Leah was saying that at first she liked JVC, and I said I disagree. I did not like her. Even if she had cancer, like truly had cancer, I would not be one to donate to her cause because I found her abrasive, rude, in your face about it, and I would choose to send my money to a different cancer patient, not her. I wouldn't wish her ill, but I just wouldn't want to be associated with her. Welcome back to the Ever-Evolving Truth, the JVC update special. We are here with our final segment. It is just me and Greg Sterner. And you've heard from a lot of people today, some current and former team members, some people that were fans during the first season, including Greg. And we've talked a little bit about what's been going on, maybe with us a little bit, and our feelings towards the first season and what's happened since. And I think the point of this segment is just for Greg and I to talk a little bit, because I think no matter what our feelings are on JVC or what happened during season one or where it should go after this, I think you and I both agree that most likely we are going to be tied to her for a very long time, if not forever.
I would 100% agree with that.
Eventually the story is going to wind down. People are going to lose interest a little bit. I truly believe that once these legal troubles are done years from now, in all likeliness, she probably will get a couple of years probation. If not, if she doesn't do a year or two in jail, she's going to get probation. It's not going to be just a year, most likely. It's probably going to be multiple years. So just projecting down the line, I truly believe that as soon as this is all cleared up and she's not being watched closely by law enforcement anymore, she is going to go right back to like a typical addict who relapses. They're going to pick up where they left off. And I believe that she's going to do that. And we're going to be right back. If the Ever-Evolving Truth is still going on at that time, we're going to be right back to it. If we've moved on to other things and ended the show,
I believe we're going to be doing a reunion season someday. With JVC, it's inevitable in my mind.
Well, I think that, you can't ever be separated from a person that is associated with, at least up till now, your biggest success. You cannot separate the two. Now, I have my own thoughts on if our relationship is, let's say, destined to continue. I have some very, very strong thoughts on how I would like to see it continue. And I think that's probably a pretty good launching pad for us to essentially put a call to action out to Jessica herself. Now, I've gotten the green light to do this, and I've been wanting to do this for a long time. A little background, because I believe that Jessica is probably listening at this point, and if not, somebody will make sure that she's aware of it, and she probably will hear it. I don't know you personally. I was only a listener in season 1. And when I was initially brought on to do this, in one of the first conversations that Jeff and I had, I think I'll paraphrase myself, but essentially what I said was, I am endlessly fascinated with this person, and I have this tremendous desire to understand what goes on inside her mind, to do some things blatantly, it appears, while she's in the boiling cauldron already, to continue to do things that just get her deeper and deeper into the hot water. I just thought there must be such an incredibly strong compulsion or such a tremendous pleasure derived from the act of the deception or the act of getting someone on the hook to the point where she feels like she won or she got them or her influence has won out. Again, I'm mentioning like 4 or 5 different things there because I don't know what it is that goes through Jessica's mind. What I would like to do is I have made my feelings known that at some points during season 1 and since, I feel like the TEET audience, while they are incredibly passionate and we certainly appreciate each and every one of them, can be slightly ravenous at times. And every time Jessica's name is mentioned again in a present setting, it's like they descend. And I feel like Jessica herself has been doing everything in her power to keep that cycle going through her statements on her Instagram, through her comments, through her just essentially poking of the bear, stoking of the fire, use your cliche. Here's what I think is needed, okay? One thing I can say about Jessica is this is a person with a tremendous desire to be known, a tremendous desire to be associated with good, great, or brave things, okay? She has talked about a firefighting career. She has talked about being an artist. She has talked about a great number of things, even the brave struggle of someone overcoming a terrible illness and needing that kind of support. Jessica clearly wants to be associated with something good, okay? The problem is, from all appearances, she's not really associated with something good. She's using deception tactics to falsely associate herself with good. What I would like to, my pledge to her, or I guess my invitation to her would be this. I invite you to come on to, I guess it would be a special episode of the Ever Evolving Truth. Jeff Berg will not be on the premises. None of the members of season 1 would be on the premises. It would be me alone over, Skype or even, in person if that would work out. Here is what I would like to have. I would like to have a long form discussion with you where we do not get into specific alleged crimes. We don't get into specific acts because the last thing I would want from Jessica would be to tell me all the reasons why something didn't happen or all the reasons why it wasn't what everybody said. I would like it if we could move beyond that and just say, okay, here's the blanket statement. Some bad shit happened and it has been directly tied to me. If that is the case, then let's talk about, without having to go specific, at the moment when an act is about to take place, when you are about to lie, or you are about to get someone on the hook, or you are about to commit a crime, whatever that is, what is it like inside your head? And immediately after it's done, what is the emotional gravity of that moment? Let's talk about you. Let's talk about how you may have gotten where you've gotten. And let's start telling a different story for you. I don't have a personal stake in it. I don't personally care what happens to you, but as a fellow human being, I don't like to see you continue to allow yourself to be drug out to the town square and stoned, as I mentioned earlier. I would like you to be able to move in a different direction, because then, imagine this, we could continue to cover you through the ever-evolving truth, but we could cover forward motion, forward and upward progress, if you decided to go on that path, to actually literally involve yourself in something heroic, something good. And even if that first heroic step is get yourself out of the swamp you currently are sinking in, maybe a talk like this, where you're not on your defenses, no one is trying to get you, and you are literally just talking about you, talking about what drives you. You are probably one of the most driven people any of us have ever been around. It's just that you've been driven down some really dark, bad roads, okay, and you've gone there willingly, it would appear. So I would like to talk about, where do you really want to be? If you could write your own story, where are you in a year from now? Where are you in 2 years? What is the Jessica Smith that everybody should know? What is the person that you hope to become in the future? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about why. Don't try to bullshit me. Don't try to tell the same old stories. The reason we'd be taking the whole rest of the team out of it is because I don't have a personal stake. I've never trashed you on the air. I've never personally insulted you, nor do I plan to. I have no reason to. There's no benefit to me to do that. Jeff hates your guts, okay? The rest of the team, to varying degrees, hates your guts. That is not a productive situation, okay? And it never will be. So while they will continue to hate you, Jeff is smart enough to know that you are a huge part of this show. You'll never be able to be separated from it. So it was my feeling that this was a way for both of us, both parties, to actually move in an upward, forward direction as it relates to JVC. Okay? Imagine at some point the ever-evolving truth having a conversation on the air where the initials JVC are mentioned, or the name Jessica Cornell or Jessica Smith are mentioned, and it is not to poke fun at the latest hijinks. It is not to poke fun at the latest ridiculousness in a post or a statement, and actually, honestly, be able to say, man, she took some positive steps. Props to her. It is absolutely, in my opinion, possible. So I have been as completely as honest as I possibly can with that pitch, and I appreciate Jeff giving me the platform to do that. I've been thinking about this for months. It's something that's important to me. I think it would be important for you. If you decide to thumb your nose at it and say, fuck you, you're one of them, and I don't care, well, then you can keep going down the same road you've been going down to diminishing returns, because like you said, eventually even the craziness, even the Melrose Place soap opera hijinks will get old. I would like to see us be able to just jump past that and literally move into a place where deception is not required for positive events to be discussed relating to Jessica Smith. So there is my invitation. I hope you take me up on it.
And I will say, as you know, you characterize my feelings towards her with 100% honesty and truthfulness. At the same time, I can see past my own face, and I understand as human beings we are imperfect. The goal of this show is not to wish her ill will. I am of the mindset that she owes people an apology, and it is then up to those individuals to decide if they want to move on and forgive her or not. I have not seen that apology in any way, shape, or form. I've seen her blaming other people for her current situation. That's what I despise about her. But you are 100% correct in that the only way that this is going to work is if somebody that can keep a true, unbiased mindset while doing this potential interview is at the helm. And I fully endorse you to do that. And I don't want any part of it because for once in this story, I would like to just be a fan. And as a fan of great content, that sounds like a fascinating discussion that I would love to hear.
Well, it could go one way or the other. If it starts off, let's say that she agrees to do it, and I truly hope that she does. If we get in there and the first 5 minutes are the same old nonsense, and we go down a path of lies and deception. See, I want to keep it high level for that reason. I don't want her to feel like she has to go on the defensive right away and defend herself, which she probably would feel like she had to if I start grilling her with these Dateline type questions. We've been down that road. We don't need to do that anymore. I would like to talk high level about you. You will need to give us something. You'll have to let me in far enough so you can talk about your emotional reaction to these things happening, to what goes on in your mind that drives your behavior. You're going to have to be willing to talk about some of that if this is going to work. If we go down the same road, the interview is going to last about 5 minutes and it might not even air. So it would be a waste of your time and ours. So I would just ask you to give it some serious consideration, some serious thought. This could be unlike any other interview you've done. And it could actually be a fresh start. Jeff is not hopeful of this, and I don't think a lot of other people are. And I think a lot of other people will still look at you.
I'm hopeful. I don't think that she has it in her, to be honest.
And that may be the sad case. I hope it's not. I hope I change. Sometimes the hardest part about changing is having the right platform and point in time that can launch you into a positive change. Everybody needs a catalyst. Everybody needs a push in the right direction. Right now, the only push she's got is to keep going further and further down the shithole. So I would say this could be potentially the platform by which you could launch yourself in, even if it's ever so slightly, into a positive direction. And that would be my hope. But yeah, like I said, Jeff, if it goes down the same old road, if it happens at all, then it's not going to be a long interview. And we can always say, hey, we gave the opportunity, we tried.
And, take our feelings out of it, or my feelings out of it. Look, I love a redemption story. Who doesn't? People watch redemption stories every day because of the feeling they get watching someone pull themselves up by the bootstraps and not only change their own life, but have a positive effect on other people's lives. If that person is JVC, that's a story that I'm willing to tell and willing to watch and willing to be a part of and willing to actually advocate for. Again, I am not your typical. I don't hold grudges. I don't hate for no reason. I am aware enough to realize when someone has truly changed. But from what I know now, even though I would hope that she can turn a corner for lots of people's sakes, even her own, where you said I'm not hopeful, I just don't believe it to be possible for her. That's all. And I want her to do the interview for many reasons, but just to have a different person trying to get into her mind and have a conversation, because I felt like I tried to do that. And we know how it went.
Well, yeah, and I thought your first two interviews with her were fascinating for different reasons, and I thought your questions were absolutely great.
And I never accused her of anything during those interviews. I brought up what we were looking to, and I gave her the opportunity to tell the truth, and she chose not to.
Yeah, and I mean, once the interview goes into a false narrative, no matter how well it's constructed and no matter how well it goes, it's you're going to wind up with what we got. So, there it is. We couldn't make a more clear call to action than that, and I really hope that she gives it some serious consideration, because if not, I think, Jessica, your story is doomed to repeat in a hellish, cyclical, over and over play of despair, which eventually, like I said, even the low-hanging fruit, even the thing that whips everybody up will have diminishing returns over time. So think about where you are in your life, think about where you are in time, and think about how many more opportunities will you have to talk with someone who has an open mind and is willing to hear about the current, as of that moment, and the future Jessica Smith. I don't care about the person that came before, except for that person has a mind, that person has emotions, and those things played into previous behavior. I want to know about those things. We don't need the specifics of how they went into operation. I just want to know what the operation is. And everybody else would love to know that as well. And maybe some people have not been personally damaged and hurt by what's happened, might be willing to allow that new knowledge to help them understand you more and understand some of the things that have happened. And that's as much of a sales pitch as I'm going to give. I'm not angling you. We're going to continue to do seasons of The Ever-Evolving Truth. White Horse Media Group, LLC, is working on some tremendous projects, films, music, publishing. We have some tremendous partnerships going on. We do not need this to survive or to flourish, but it would be a hell of a final chapter of book one of your eventual story. It would be a hell of a chapter of book one of our eventual story. A really nice place to end things, if you agree. So give it some serious consideration. And if you think it might be something that could be mutually beneficial, reach out. You know how to get a hold of us, and I can arrange for you to have my personal contact information off the air.
And of course, and well said, Greg, great points. And you are a wordsmith and a gentleman more so than I am. Our goal is not to complicate your legal issues any further than you already have done for yourself. So we completely understand that you might not be able to talk right now, or even for a long period of time. You know, we understand that. We are not, like I said, we are not out to try and make your situation more difficult. I think we all know that you've done enough of that yourself. That is not our goal. Our goal is to produce great content and tell great stories. And despite my personal feelings, your story is a great story. It may be for the wrong reasons in a lot of cases, but it is a great story nonetheless. Absolutely. That being said, like Greg said, we do have, and hopefully by the time this comes out, we should be on the brink of season 3 coming out, whatever that may be. And I think it's fair to let our audience know kind of what we're working on at this point. We have a couple really interesting seasons, very different from the first two, because it's not necessarily happening real time. And I'm not saying that we won't ever go back to that format. But well, maybe one of the seasons will be real time. We don't know. We're still in the beginning stages of that. But the 2 seasons that are really starting to come together as of now are what you titled, Greg, as Rogues Gallery. Do you want to tell the audience a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, and I think this will be the second of the 2 seasons to air. Initially, we were looking at doing a feature, a 10-episode feature on infidelity, but the response for the infidelity concept was not what we had hoped for, and we might end up with a couple of really interesting one-off interviews related to what might be a season that never occurs, or it might be a season that we have to push down the road. So of the next 2 seasons, infidelity most likely will not be one of the 2. Rogues Gallery will probably be number 4, and the concept is essentially it's a comic book term, or a term that most people know from comic books, and essentially it's your list of interesting villains. But essentially, the twist that the Ever-Evolving Truth would like to make on this is these are people that have fucked up in some pretty dark, horrible ways, lost their families, ruined their lives, essentially. but they have a perspective on wrongdoing. They have a perspective on the consequences of that wrongdoing and how a person can actually at some point in their lives come back from that. So it is not as, I would say there's an element of darkness to it. The people listening will be interested in the crime portion of the stories that we're going to tell, but we have made it clear to the people that are willing to talk to us that we want to highlight the fact that on the other end you came out, or if you haven't come out, what has kept you where you are? What's kept you in the whirlpool of being fixed in this misery that you can't get out of? So that's Rogues Gallery. Jeff, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, we due to fairly recent events, we decided to take a deep dive into Child Protective Services and what their situation and story is, and really the scope of this, because social work in general is a very broad term, and it covers many different things, both children and adults. What we wanted to do is we wanted to narrow down the scope of this season to more specifically the abuse of the system, specifically CYS or CPS, and essentially it is the Wild West of the Wild West of rules, because there really are no rules to reporting. You can literally report anybody, anytime, anywhere, and there's no accountability if you're making all of it up.
At least you can report and have action taken, which is not questioned in any way. The action will take place. Whether the person actually has a long-term consequence from that investigation is another question entirely. But that initial invasion into your lives from this organization will take place with next to no provocation, no evidence, no nothing, a simple anonymous call.
Yep. And what's fascinating is no one is questioning the good that these people do. What we want to look at is the system within which they operate. They have no ability to make a judgment call that, hey, this is unfounded. We should just close the case right now and move on to somebody that really needs our help. And this could be done to the same person one time, 10 times, 100 times, and they still have to go out. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, over the course of the country that are wasted every day on false claims. And not only that, but the fact that these people are overworked, underpaid, they're under a ton of stress. And when you have those conditions, mistakes can be made very easily. And the fact that people are out there willing, and more often than you think, I won't give away the whole season, but this happens more often than you think. It happens very, very often. People that use this as a weapon against people they don't like, or exes, or former lovers, or people they don't want to co-parent with. And
angry children.
There's so many different ways that the system can be abused, and you'll really feel for the people involved, the people that work, for this, CPS and CYS, and just in social work in general. You really get it. But the thing about this whole season is none of us, including myself, care about this issue because it doesn't directly affect us. We're not even aware it's an issue until it happens to somebody that we know, or it happens to us ourselves.
And we right now, which is why CYS, CPS, people seem to use it interchangeably. It's like, Obama used to call ISIS ISIL all the time because whatever. It's just a weird reference. Yeah. But these organizations will make for a fascinating season. And our own new partner, Andrea Steck, has done some. I mean, she's been a real pit bull. Digging into this for us, and has really uncovered some interesting things. We have some people from the legal field, pretty high-ranking people from the legal field that have consulted on this and may be willing to consult on it. We've had current and former associates and employees of the system. And we're going to have some people on, hopefully, who have experienced the positive and negative consequences. So at this point, if I had to bet, and because we're doing this piecemeal now and doing so many at once as a much larger project, I'd still have to bet that CYS will probably be the next one, followed by Rogues Gallery, and then possibly followed by another one that we're discussing, which I don't know if we're at liberty to talk about yet, Jeff.
Yeah, it is fascinating to be a part of it. I know you guys are going to love it. And then once we're done with these 2 or 3 seasons, maybe we'll get back to, some dirty, slimy GoFundMe scams.
At that point, we'll be ready to come back full circle and and dig into another one. It's certainly, I think I said this on the at the end of the Anna season. Well, that's another one. We'll continue to follow Anna Maciejewska's case. We'll continue to follow anything that we dig into with an effort of a full season. We'll continue to keep them on deck for special episodes like the one you're watching tonight.
And can we say, like, we can't be specific, but we can say that there might be some news coming in the Anna Maciejewska case fairly shortly.
We definitely cannot be specific, and the current rumors are rumors that have been around for a while, but they've recently cropped up again. So yeah, maybe some news coming, maybe not. That's about all I can say at this point.
All right. So keep your ear to the ground. If you hear anything, let us know. That case is not dead. We can keep an eye on it, but at this point, we've provided all the information. We've reported all the information that we could. We turned up a few other things that were not the public was not aware of a couple things, so we were able to turn up a few things there. But there's definitely a possibility that we could have some news, but who knows? But it's still alive. There's still a trickle. Let's call it that. There's a trickle coming out of the faucet. There's some drips of information coming through here and there. So we just have to be patient, wait a little bit. But either way, we'll let you know if that ever comes to fruition.
So TEET fans, stay put, stay tuned. It's forward and upward from here, which I've said a lot in context of this potential Jessica interview if she so accepts my invitation. But for us too, we're looking to move forward, upward, and Whitehorse as a whole, which, by the way, if you are listening or seeing this right now, you will have already subscribed to Whitehorse because it's going to be the only way to see this. We're doing some incredible things. Long term, we've got a 5-year plan at this point, which is pretty deep and detailed about where this company is going to go. So just couldn't be more excited about the future myself and the opportunity I'm going to have to play a major role in it. So I don't know about you. Well, I do know about you, Jeff, and we're both psyched to the moon.
Yeah, we've assembled some incredible talent, both with TEET and just outside of TEET, under the Whitehorse name, which they've been involved with the promoting and marketing part of TEET. So, yeah, I'm just so excited. It's such a wonderful group of people, such a positive energy, and I think we finally have, a good core group that shares a great chemistry. And I look forward to handing out 20-year watches someday to these very same people.
That's a nice thought and a probably a very accurate psychic vision, Jeff.
So at this point, we'll let you go. When I put this all together, it's probably going to be way too long, as our usual, MO is. But
and TEET fans, damn well you're going to watch every second of it. So We're going to give you 5 hours. I know we can count on you to watch every second of it.
Especially if JVC's in the title anywhere. So we appreciate you listening, watching. I know it's been a while since we've updated you. We don't want to beat a dead horse. We want to stay in contact with you. We want to give you content. So this was our way of just kind of buttoning up the first season, and anything that we talk about from here on out, I guess we can just call it a whole new era of JVC. Whether it's good or bad, that's up to her. But we had fun, and we can't wait for you to hear and listen to the next few seasons coming out here. So thanks for sticking with us. We'll hear from you soon. keep your eye out for the new season. Thanks.